Chapter 2957. Donda stood up and smiled helplessly. He looked gratefully at Whaley, who was glaring at him. "You shouldn't have interfered," Whaley said, dissatisfaction evident in his tone. Donda said, "I just wanted to do you a favor." Whaley shook his head. "This has nothing to do with favors. You shouldn't have interfered. The U clan's matter isn't something we can get involved in, and the Kong clan's matter has nothing to do with us." "But what if—" Before Donda could finish, Whaley interrupted him. "There's no what if. Why did I lead the Divine Legion to this area? Back then, why did I stop you from going deeper? It's too close. I can't accept it." Donda sighed. "There are too many people who can't accept it. So what? Don't tell me you expect them to remember this favor? It's already good enough that you didn't do a good job. And this time, you shot yourself in the foot. That young man is definitely not ordinary," Whaley said, looking at the place where Zeichin disappeared. "Yes. A mere 7th-rank martial artist with such fighting strength. It's too scary." Donda sighed. "It's more than scary. It's terrifying. Although he's a 7th-rank martial artist, if we really fight to the death, it's not certain whether we'll survive," Whaley said. Donda's expression immediately changed. "That can't be. You were first on the ranking of generals, known as the strongest in the God realm. In this area, how many people are first on the ranking of generals? It's just a false reputation. Moreover, the ranking of generals was interfered with. It might not be true. Then what about this matter? The people they sent should all be dead. You don't have to worry about it." The corpses on the ground were naturally dealt with by others. Some people were still in shock. After that domain appeared, they could only see what was happening inside, but couldn't hear what was happening inside. They saw Zeichin slash down and shatter Donda's custom-made armor. After that, the two sides said something, and Zeichin withdrew his domain and left. Zeichen's group returned to their original encampment. Su Mengyao put away the hall, and then everyone left. After joining the army, it would be very troublesome to leave. However, with the means that Zeichin had displayed today, all the trouble was no longer a problem. No one asked why Zeichin didn't kill Donda. Obviously, Zeichin had his reasons for doing so. "Where are we going next?" Su Mengyao looked at Zeichin. Zeichin thought for a moment and said, "Let's go to a nearby city to rest first." Everyone nodded and set off for the nearest city. Martin and Lunk were also in the team. The two of them had completely left the Divine Legion this time. As they moved forward, Zeichin looked at the excited Kong Mo and asked curiously, "What are you so happy about? Big brother, your combat power is very strong. If you wear the custom-made armor, I believe you will be even stronger." Kong Mo said excitedly, "I can already make custom battle armor now." Zeichin smiled. "Yes, I've already seen it. It's very powerful. Brother Devil Ape and the others were able to return because of the armor you made." Hearing this, Kong Mo was even happier, his little face raised proudly. Zeichin didn't ask if Kong Mo knew about the U clan. Originally, when he learned about Kong Mo's matter, he had speculated about Kong Mo's background. However, because he had very little contact with the natives, he gradually forgot about it. He didn't expect that this time they would be implicated and almost lead to a disaster. However, now that he knew the reason, he would wait for everyone to enter the depths of the Divine Legion to meet this U clan. After entering the city, everyone found an inn to treat their wounds and rest. "Did something happen?" Only Su Mengyao and Zeichin were in the room. Su Mengyao asked. "They came for Kong Mo." Zeichin didn't hide it. "Kong Mo?" Su Mengyao was surprised. Zeichin said, "They said it was the U clan, a huge native power. Wesley said that the divine mercenaries are under their control." Su Mengyao asked. "Where are they?" Zeichin said. "In the depths. With our strength, we can't reach there for the time being." "Then what do you plan to do next?" "After everyone's injuries are healed, we will slowly enter the depths until we reach that city." After staying in the city for 7 days, everyone's injuries were completely healed. Zichen's group left the city and headed for the depths. Martin and the others had been to the depths before, but they had gone in teams. This time, they were traveling together, and could be considered as a team. Among them, Zichen was an expert who could fight against Donder, so they didn't have to worry about the potential dangers in the depths. Fight, refine, grow, and advance. This was the next path for everyone. They had to keep walking, and it would take a long time. As for whether the Yu clan would send more people, Zichen didn't know, but he didn't care. Unless he sent some experts as strong as Donder, he would have to kill every one of them. Zichen sat on a flat ground on the mountain peak, holding 2 5th-grade heavenly beast inner cores in his hands. Lightning flickered on his body as he absorbed the energy in the cores. There was no doubt about the combat strength of the thunder body, but it was very difficult to improve it. Last time, after successfully comprehending it, his physical body directly broke through to the 7th grade. Next, when he refined the inner cores again, the refining speed was much faster, but the improvement was completely negligible. Not far from him, there was a large hall where the others were cultivating. Zichen was like a gatekeeper, guarding the hall. Occasionally, a powerful aura would sweep across the night sky. Zichen's spiritual thoughts spread out. In the dark night, lightning flickered on his body. Sitting on the mountain peak, he was like a guiding light, extremely eye-catching. Above the sky, a strong wind blew, and a powerful aura surged. Zichen felt a pressure. He opened his eyes and saw a huge bird flying toward him. Like a goshawk hunting its prey, it swooped down quickly, and a sharp whistle resounded in the air. Zichen stood up and bent his knees slightly. With a crack, the stone under his feet cracked, and he disappeared. In the next moment, he arrived beside the bird and punched it. Boom! Boundless lightning exploded in the sky, and the world suddenly lit up, as if the night had turned into day. The lightning disappeared, and the world returned to darkness. A shrill cry pierced the sky. The huge bird from before landed on the mountain peak. Zichen's body descended and landed on the ground where he was originally sitting cross-legged. The cracks on the stone intensified and spread. A rootless fire burned on the mountain peak, and the aroma of barbecued meat filled the air. Tonight, Zichen had added an extra meal for himself. Such a scene would occasionally appear on the road ahead, and the others were already used to it. In the blink of an eye, they had gone deep into the forest. With the provision of many resources, everyone in the team had reached the 5th grade, and many had reached the 6th grade. However, this level was still not enough to go deep into the forest. As usual, Zichen sat on the mountain peak to cultivate, while the others cultivated in the hall. As they went deeper, the danger increased. Zichen's vigilance increased slightly, and his spiritual thoughts covered the surroundings, guarding against the appearance of heavenly beasts. Chapter 29:58. Smoke rose and filled the surroundings. Zichen, who was sitting on the mountain peak, felt as if he was in the clouds. Lightning flashed on his body. When he opened his eyes, he saw that there was a thick fog around him. The fog appeared abruptly as if it had a life of its own. After it came to his side, it went deeper. Chi! Chi! The fog that entered his body was immediately destroyed by the power of thunder formed by the thunder body. He looked at this scene in surprise and found that the fog came from the stone peak below him. A green light appeared behind him and wrapped around his waist. This green light was an unknown plant. After it wrapped around Zichen, a wave of energy emerged from it and tried to invade his body. Buzz! Lightning flashed on the surface of his body again, and the energy that tried to invade his body was repelled again. At this time, the plant suddenly exerted force, and Zichen's body was forcefully dragged backward. Zichen didn't know what this plant was. When he came to this world, he heard that any green plant that grew on a mountain rock must be something extremely precious. He reached out and grabbed the plant. Lightning flashed on his body, and a powerful force emerged from his thunder body, breaking free from the plant's entanglement. Then, his left hand wrapped the plant around his arm layer by layer. He held it firmly and suddenly exerted force. Buzz! Lightning flashed on his body, and the power of his thunder body was fully unleashed, trying to pull the plant out of the mountain peak. At this time, his face was filled with joy. It was an opportunity to encounter a plant. The power of his thunder body was very strong. During this time, the lightning continued to extend along the plant into the mountain peak. However, no matter how much force Zichen used, he couldn't pull it out. The plant seemed to be one with the mountain. If he wanted to pull it out, he had to have the power to shake the mountain. The two of them were in a stalemate. However, it was obviously impossible for the plant to bring Zichen into the mountain peak. "Let's see how long you can last." Zichen smiled coldly. A light flashed in his right hand, and a sheathed long saber appeared. Just as he was about to pull out the saber, the plant he was holding tightly suddenly loosened. Zichen's body was directly sent flying backward by inertia. Just when he thought that he had pulled out the vegetation, he realized that his body that was flying backward suddenly stopped, and the vegetation in his left hand was almost torn away. After that, the vegetation grew taut again. Zichen stood in the air, his body flickering with lightning. At this moment, the vegetation exerted more force, and Zichen's body began to move uncontrollably to the left and right. It began to sway more and more violently. Boom! Zichen's body slammed into the mountain peak with a loud tremor. The vegetation extended once again, bending in the middle like a long whip. Zichen was at the end of the long whip. With another loud tremor, his body smashed into the giant mountain peak again. At this moment, Zichen was unable to control his body and stabilize his center of gravity. As the vegetation swayed, extended, and shortened, he slammed left and right. The repeated collisions caused the mountain to tremble violently. Although Zichen had a powerful lightning body and would not be injured, the continuous collisions made him feel dizzy and extremely uncomfortable. Thunderous sounds kept ringing, and the entire mountain peak was shaking. Naturally, it affected the people cultivating in the hall. Everyone woke up and walked out of the hall. Then, they were shocked to see Zichen's body constantly dancing. The rumbling sounds were made by his body hitting the mountain peak. "Are you playing on a swing?" Monk looked at Zichen and laughed. "Am I playing on a swing?" Zichen said angrily. His body once again slammed into the mountain peak uncontrollably, and a loud rumbling sound was heard. Monk laughed loudly, and the others chuckled as well. "Oh my God, this is a green plant!" Martin exclaimed amidst the laughter. "To be able to break out of the mountain and have such means, it's definitely not an ordinary plant." Everyone knew how powerful Zichen was, but at this moment, Zichen couldn't do anything to this plant. At this moment, one end of the plant was on the mountain peak. It could be seen that it had truly broken out of the mountain peak. When Martin and the others were in the army, they had been looking for something that could break out of the mountain peak. The intelligence personnel had gone to almost all the mountains, but they didn't find anything. However, Zichen found it, and even caught it. What kind of luck was this? "Why aren't you helping?" Zichen's voice was heard. "Haha, how can I help?" Monk laughed loudly. "Break the mountain peak and get it out." As Zichen spoke, his body slammed into the mountain peak again, and his head was in a daze. "All right," Monk said heroically. He took out the demon-subduing pestle and struck the mountain peak hard. With a loud rumble, a shallow pit appeared on the mountain peak, and gravel flew in all directions. Seeing this, Monk was a little dumbfounded. Now that his combat strength was extraordinary, it shouldn't be difficult for him to destroy a mountain peak. However, the mountain peak in front of him seemed to be too sturdy. If he continued to smash it, it would probably take him a few years. "Slash!" Monk shouted. He held the demon-subduing pestle and struck at the plant. When the others saw this, they wanted to stop him, but it was too late. Buzz! With a loud rumble, rays of light shone from the plant. The demon-subduing pestle met with a strong resistance, and was repelled. "What?" Monk's eyes widened in disbelief. The others were also surprised. They heaved a sigh of relief. This was a good thing. If it broke, it would be troublesome. "Darn Baldy, Come and catch this. Don't let it run in. I'll break the mountain peak, Zichen said loudly. If it breaks and runs, we will miss out on a great opportunity. Hearing about the opportunity, Monk's eyes lit up. He rushed forward without hesitation and came to Zichen's side. He wrapped his arms around the plant and grabbed it. Zichen immediately let go and flew to the back. He reminded, "Hurry up and take out the shield to defend." Before Monk could react, his body was forcefully sent flying and slammed into the mountain peak. The plant in his hand almost fell out of his hand. He shook his dazed head and hurriedly took out the defensive light shield. Obviously, it wasn't used to defend against attacks, but to protect himself from being knocked unconscious. Boom! Boom! The rumbling continued as Monk was knocked to different places. "I say, hurry up and do something!" While defending, Monk shouted in dissatisfaction. The others laughed when they heard that. "Wait for a while. Let me recover," Zichen said. "You!" Monk was enraged when he heard that. His body flew into the sky. However, the plant shrank and expanded, neutralizing Monk's strength. Boom! With another strong swing, Monk was sent flying again. "Hurry up and do something!" Monk shouted. Swoosh! Zichen's body flew into the sky. A sheathed long saber appeared in his hand and he slashed downwards. Chapter 29:59. Zichen slashed down with his saber, and the saber light directly penetrated the mountain peak. The hard stone peak couldn't block this attack, and Zichen also knew his limits and didn't cut the plant. However, the mountain peak was too high, and Zichen's attack was far from being able to break the peak. However, the effect was much stronger than the monk's attack. With a tap of his foot, Zichen soared into the sky. Lightning surged on his body again as he pushed his thunder physique to the limit. The power of yin and yang shone on the surface of his body, releasing a powerful aura. Another slash was made. This time, the saber light was like a waterfall. It fell from the sky, and another deep crack appeared on the mountain peak. When Zichen was slashing, the others didn't stay idle. They all flew in all directions and stood outside the mountain peak to attack. Su Mengyao kept the main hall, and the black rod in the devil ape's hand was smashed down, causing debris to fly everywhere. Thunder, Xingqian, and the others also started to attack. Everyone started to break the mountain peak with all their strength. The monk was still shouting, but no one paid attention to him anymore. Buzz! Zichen's body emitted a strong light as he slashed down with his saber again. This time, the saber followed the previous mark and penetrated dozens of feet deeper into the mountain peak. After a few slashes, the crack on the mountain peak was big enough. Zichen put away his long saber. His body flashed, and he appeared on the mountain peak. The next moment, he clenched his fist and pushed the power of his thunder physique to the limit. Amidst the endless rumbling of thunder, he punched the mountain peak. Bolts of lightning poured in from the crack and exploded continuously, sending out powerful waves of energy. Smoke and dust flew out from the crack, and the entire mountain peak began to shake. Under the powerful bombardment of the lightning, the mountain peak fell to both sides. Crack! The giant mountain split in the middle and fell to both sides. Finally, it fell to the ground with a rumbling sound. When the first ray of sunlight appeared on the horizon, the mountain peak was successfully split open, and everyone saw the plant in the mountain peak. It was a sparkling and translucent grass that was rooted on a circular rock. The green light that extended from it was being held tightly by the monk. At this moment, the mountain peak was split open, and the plant appeared in front of everyone, but it was no longer struggling. The monk let go of the plant, and the green light returned. Everyone was extremely shocked. Such a small stalk of grass was actually able to break open a mountain peak that was over 100 zhang tall. Just how sharp was its power? Under everyone's gaze, the grass seemed very quiet. Its thin and long leaves were withdrawn, as if it was an extremely ordinary weed. However, no one let down their guard. The monk's head was still dizzy. "Look at that round rock where the plant is rooted. Doesn't it look like a head?" Martin's voice rang out. Everyone's eyes fell on the round rock. The round stone did indeed look like a human head. There was already a vague outline of the head. If one continued to look down, one could even see the outline of the body. It was as if a person was lying there, and the grass was taking root in his head and growing along with him. It is indeed a human head. How can there be people here? Zichen was very confused. The mountains here are very hard, said Martin with a shocked expression. Under normal circumstances, they won't give birth to sentience. However, there are always accidents in the world. There are a very small number of mountains that can give birth to spiritual intelligence by chance, and then become a powerful existence. When they attacked earlier, they felt that the mountain was too hard. Now, it seemed that a spiritual body had been born, which caused the entire mountain to change. However, it was very obvious that this spiritual body had not been able to grow, and its vitality was taken away by this seemingly fragile grass. I remember now. This is the spirit-devouring grass. Everyone retreat. Its previous appearance was an illusion. It wants to devour everyone. At this moment, Kang Mo, who was behind them, shouted. There was obvious fear in his voice. Whoosh! As soon as Kang Mo's voice fell, the grass immediately lit up. Countless green leaves flew out from its body, bringing with them a thick fog. The fog did not have a pungent smell. It was like a kind of energy that ignored defense and entered everyone's body. Everyone's retreating figure paused in an instant, and then they were enveloped by the green leaves. In the thick fog, a puffing sound was heard, accompanied by a series of exclamations. Boom! Lightning surged on Zichen's body, and the boundless lightning spread out in all directions. It was like a living lightning snake, passing through the thick fog and landing on the green leaves. The lightning exploded, the thick fog dispersed, and the green leaves disappeared. The abnormality in the surroundings disappeared in an instant, and everyone's figures appeared. At this moment, most of them were covered in blood, suffering from different degrees of injuries. Only Tyrant, Zichen, and Su Mengyao were unharmed. Tyrant had the strongest defense, and Zichen had lightning on his body. Nothing could get close to him. As for Su Mengyao, she was not injured either. No one knew why. Other than that, the others were more or less injured. Even their mid-grade armor was broken, and their high-grade armor was directly broken through. No one knew if it was because Kang Mo had reminded everyone, but his injuries were the most serious. There were several bloody wounds on his body, and he looked very miserable. At this moment, everyone's face was filled with fear. If Zichen had not quickly used the lightning to break the abnormality, they would have all been killed if it had continued for a while. That thick fog is strange. It can paralyze the body and prevent the circulation of energy, Demon Ape said in a low voice. Black light flowed on his body, covering his injuries. In front of everyone, the grass was still rooted there quietly. Its leaves were slightly curled, and it seemed to have lost some of its vitality. Be careful, it's still an illusion. It's a spirit-devouring grass. Unlike other plants, it can move on its own. It's not running away now, and it still wants to devour us. Kang Mo said loudly. Its devouring skill is very strong, and its defense is also very terrifying. Before he could finish his words, Su Mengyao went forward. She came in front of the spirit-devouring grass and bent over to look at it. At this moment, her body was flowing with brilliance, and her beautiful body was faintly discernible. Kang Mo wanted to remind her, but Su Mengyao stretched out her slender finger and gently touched the spirit-devouring grass. The spirit-devouring grass seemed to have intelligence. Its curved leaves gently drooped down and rubbed against Su Mengyao's finger. It looked like a docile little beast rubbing its head against its owner's body. Seeing this scene, the others were very surprised. Only Kang Mo, with his eyes wide open, looked at the scene in front of him as if he had seen a ghost. The spirit-devouring grass was the most terrifying plant in his memory. If it was compared to a heavenly beast, then it must be the most ferocious and terrifying. But now, this most ferocious plant was like a docile pet in front of Su Mengyao. Kang Mo closed his mouth, a little dumbfounded. because no matter how he looked at it, it didn't seem to be an act. At the next moment, Su Mingyao stretched out her hand, and the spirit-devouring grass rooted in the round stone broke away from the round stone and fell into her palm like a little fairy. Everyone was very shocked, and Kang Mo's face was full of horror. Chapter 2960. The spirit-devouring grass was intimidating because it could swallow spiritual energy, including divine generals, sky beasts, rocks, and all kinds of spiritual energy in this world. It was like a hunter that considered all the living creatures in this area as its prey. This kind of existence was really intimidating. Of course, it had excellent skills. It was the most dangerous killer. No one had ever thought that it would be tamed like this. The others were surprised because they didn't know the spirit-devouring grass, and they didn't know how dangerous it was. In Kang Mo's memory, there was a record about this. He knew how intimidating the spirit-devouring grass was. While he was still in shock, the spirit-devouring grass was flying around Su Mingyao. It looked really obedient. After flying around Su Mingyao several times, the spirit-devouring grass turned into a jet of light, returning to Su Mingyao's palm and disappearing. Do you know what it is? Zichen looked at Su Mingyao. I don't know, but I can feel that it doesn't have evil intentions. Apparently, Su Mingyao's evil intentions were aimed at herself. At that moment, the spirit-devouring grass was full of evil intentions towards them. They had thought that it was Zichen's lightning power that had broken the green leaves and saved them. But now, it didn't seem to be the case. Looking at the other skeptical faces, Su Mingyao explained. Because it's a technique, I can feel its difference. Su Mingyao's technique was special. It was to deduce the Great Path. Currently, she was the first expert on this life star. Did you tame it? Asked Zichen. Su Mingyao nodded gently. It will go with us. Her words were subtle. Actually, she meant that the grass would follow her. Apparently, the spirit-devouring grass didn't recognize the others. They didn't know the spirit-devouring grass's special ability. However, all the plants in this world were really intimidating. This time, Su Mingyao had such a harvest. Everybody was happy from the bottom of their hearts. The mountain peak was destroyed. They continued their journey. Since the Divine Legion's base was destroyed several years ago, they had retreated from that area and ventured deeper. Since some level 7 experts were killed, the Divine Legion had suffered a great loss. However, they hadn't recruited anyone yet. Several years later, a level 8 expert came to this new base, his face grimaced. Someone saw him, and asked him. He scolded him. You guys are really good at hiding. Looking at this encampment, the rank 8's face was full of indifference. I've been looking for you for a few years. I didn't expect you to be hiding here. Where did this saying come from? Do we still need to hide? A voice sounded. Donder appeared in front of rank 8. Where are the people you killed? Where did they go? Why isn't there any news? Both of them were rank 8s. The other party's attitude was obviously very rude. Donder said, Last time, we were only responsible for providing information. As for killing people, that's your business. How could we know? By the time we returned, the encampment had already been razed to the ground. We waited for you for a long time, but no one came to compensate us. Hearing this, a rank 8 laughed coldly. Compensation? You're not doing a good job, yet you still want compensation? At this moment, Donder couldn't help but recall Wei Li's words. If you want the other party to remember a favor, the other party might blame you for not doing a good job. It seemed that he was right. Immediately mobilize your people to search. Regardless of life or death, you must find him. That rank 8 said coldly. Our people suffered heavy losses last time. The encampment needs to be rebuilt again. We need a lot of resources. Recently, everyone has been resting and reorganizing. For the time being, we don't have suitable people. Donder said. Are you ignoring my words? A chill flashed through the rank 8's eyes. They were all rank 8s. There was no distinction between high and low. The other party's arrogance made Donder very unhappy. Just as he was about to rebuke the other party, Wei Li appeared in front of him. Seeing Wei Li, that rank 8's attitude became slightly more proper. Donder turned and left. Right now, there was regret in his heart. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have interfered in this matter. After Zichen came back, he might even join the Corps because of their protection. Our encampment has been destroyed. The people you sent are dead. Wei Li looked at the rank 8 in front of him and said, "You don't need to send people to search. They'll go deeper to look for you. Look for us." "Is he looking for death?" The rank 8's tone was cold. Wei Li smiled and said, "Whether he's looking for death or not, we'll know when we meet him." After that, his figure flashed and disappeared, leaving behind the rank 8 with a gloomy face. Obviously, Wei Li's attitude was more clear. He wouldn't help. From another point of view, he wouldn't interfere in this matter anymore. Even if you don't care, someone will. Don't think that there's only one core of gods here. With a cold expression, the rank 8 turned and left. In a valley, several rank 6 heavenly beasts were eating. They were making a lot of noise. Zichen and the others were not far away. They released their spiritual senses and watched the scene in the valley. No one made a move. Instead, they turned to look at Su Mengyao. Su Mengyao stretched out her hand. Light flowed in her palm. The spirit-devouring grass appeared in her palm. Everyone's attention fell on the spirit-devouring grass. They saw it leave Su Mingyao's palm and fall on the mountain peak, sinking into it easily. The extremely hard rock seemed to be nothing to it. After 3 breaths, screams suddenly sounded in the valley. Everyone's spiritual senses noticed that the valley had been covered by green leaves, like a huge dumpling. The screams came from the green leaves. Through the gaps, a thick fog escaped. After a while, the green leaves disappeared. The original heavenly beasts had all turned into corpses. The corpses were entangled with green leaves. Then, the green leaves brought them back. After that, their huge bodies kept shrinking and finally disappeared. Obviously, they were devoured. Several rank 6 heavenly beasts were killed and devoured in an instant. This scene shocked everyone. Whoosh! Before everyone's eyes, the spirit-devouring grass appeared. It was clean and fell into Su Mingyao's palm. Then, it turned into spots of light and disappeared. "It's really scary!" Zichen sighed, but he was in a good mood. Now that Su Mingyao had the spirit-devouring grass, she had another way to protect herself in times of crisis. Next, the spirit-devouring grass displayed its extremely powerful killing method to everyone. Heavenly beasts below rank 6 were completely slaughtered in front of it. As for rank 7, it could also kill them, but only in a one-on-one. As their combat strength increased, everyone gradually went deeper. Most of the time, they would stay in a certain area for a long time. "Big brother, try this material." Kang Mo took out a piece of beast bone and handed it to Zichen. Zichen held the material in his hand. Thunder force lingered in his hand. Buzz! The material trembled and released thunder. Crackling sounds were constantly heard. Looking at the beast bone that released a strong aura, Kang Mo's eyes showed a touch of joy. She said, "It can really stimulate the thunder force to a greater extent. This is the most suitable material for Big Brother to customize the armor." Zichen said, "The thunder force can be unimpeded, but the quality is too low." Chapter 2961. After witnessing Zichen's power, Kang Mo had always wanted to craft a set of custom-made battle armor for Zichen. That way, his battle prowess would be even stronger. However, he had not been able to find the right materials, and all the materials he had so far were flawed. Crafting a set of battle armor was an extremely complicated process. First, one had to know the opponent's power attribute, then find the right materials to activate it. For example, Zichen's elemental attribute was lightning. If he were to use a material that was of high quality, but had a suppressive effect on lightning, the resulting armor would obviously be ineffective. Thus, Kang Mo had been searching for materials for the past few years. During this time, he had repaired the Demon Ape's battle armor, and also crafted custom-made battle armor for others. Every set of custom-made battle armor was extremely difficult. From the selection of materials to the crafting process, it usually took hundreds of years. This was also why, in the Divine Legion, although there were custom-made battle armors, there were not many of them. It took too long, and many people were waiting patiently in line. During this time, Kang Mo had displayed his crafting skills, which had shocked Martin and Luen-Ke. His crafting speed was very fast, but the quality was not reduced. Once he had more experience, it would be very impressive. Kang Mo looked at the bones that had turned into powder and said with a smile, "That was only the material of a level 6 Heavenly Wind Rhinoceros. If we can find a level 7 Heavenly Wind Rhinoceros, we can use it to craft battle armor." Zichen nodded and said, "If it's a level 7 Heavenly Wind Rhinoceros, we need to go deeper." In this region, although they would occasionally encounter a few level 7 heavenly beasts, they were relatively few in number. As for the wind rhinoceros that Kang Mo had mentioned, even for a level 6 heavenly beast, they had only encountered one, and not a single level 7 heavenly beast. Kang Mo had inherited memories, and the things in his memories were all about this world, including some special plants and powerful heavenly beasts. Kang Mo said, "Actually, it's because my proficiency is too low. Otherwise, I would have been able to kill the Sky Thunder Beast directly. It has the Thunder attribute, so it's best to use it to refine battle armor." Hearing this, Zichen's eyes flashed with surprise. He had not heard Kang Mo mention this before, so he asked, "Where is the Heavenly Thunder Beast you mentioned?" "It's in a very dangerous place. It's still very far from here," Kang Mo said embarrassedly. "Even if we have the materials now, I can't refine it." Zichen smiled and said, "Don't worry. Take it slow. We have plenty of time." Kang Mo looked up at Zichen and said, "Big brother, are you bringing us all the way to Heaven's Road City? You know that place?" Zichen asked. "Yes, in my memories, there are records of Heaven Road City. Moreover, I have a faint feeling in my heart that I have been there before, but I just can't remember." Zichen rubbed Kang Mo's head and said, "Whether or not I've been there, we'll know when we get there. Don't think too much about it for now. Just focus on improving your refining skills. Also, don't worry about my armor. I can use the current materials to refine it for everyone. It's already in the process of being refined. One will be ready very soon." Kang Mo turned around and entered the hall to continue working. Zichen looked at the monk who was fighting with Luo Yi not far away. His purpose was to bring everyone into Heaven's Road City. According to Wei Li, there were many powerhouses there. The Yu clan was powerful, and it was not enough for him to be strong alone. He needed everyone to be strong. At this time, most of the people in the team were at rank 5, and there were a few at rank 6. Only Zichen was at rank 7. Everyone's energy realm could no longer increase here. The only thing that could be improved now was their physical bodies. After thinking about it, Zichen decided to enter the depths first to hunt high-ranked heavenly beasts. In order for everyone to grow quickly, the most important thing would be to refine higher-grade heavenly beast inner cores. Under such circumstances, if he could continuously provide everyone with 7th-grade inner cores to refine, he believed that everyone's cultivation level would rise quickly. After Zichen said that he wanted to go deeper, no one had any objections. His combat strength was already very strong. Most importantly, there was no suppression in this world. Under such circumstances, it would be difficult for anyone to pose a threat to him. After the discussion, the others continued to stay here while Zichen went deeper. In fact, he was not going deeper alone. Shadowless was by his side. During this time, Shadowless kept going deeper and deeper to gather information, telling him the number of heavenly beasts he saw. According to Shadowless's guidance, Zichen found a rank 7 heavenly beast. There was only one. Lightning flashed on his body. Zichen rushed forward. Accompanied by the explosion of energy, the battle ended after 3 breaths. After that, he continued to go deeper. On the first day, he killed 3 rank 7 heavenly beasts. The harvest was not bad. On the second day, he killed 8. There were 3 in a group. On the third day, he killed 12 rank 7 heavenly beasts. These were all found by Shadowless overnight. Only Zichen's combat strength was so strong that he dared to go so deep without any fear. On the fourth and fifth days he had a good harvest. Zichen, I found the heavenly wind rhino. On the sixth day, Zichen, who had gone very deep, finally saw the heavenly wind rhinos under Shadowless's guidance. There were a total of 5 heavenly wind rhinos living in a swamp. Their bodies emitted a strong aura. Clearly, they were rank 7. Rank 7 was at the level of refining battle armor. Zichen did not hesitate and rushed forward. The 5 rank 7 heavenly wind rhinos sensed his arrival. They raised their heads, and a strong aura spread out. Above the swamp, gusts of wind appeared one after another. Within the wind, sharp blades were raging, cutting through the air. Zichen's body flashed with lightning. He forced his way through the wind, allowing the wind blades to wreak havoc. When the wind blades reached him, they would be shattered by the flashing lightning. During this time, there was a continuous explosion. Arriving in front of a heavenly wind rhino, he gathered his strength and attacked. A powerful punch landed on the rhino's body. With a loud explosion, the heavenly wind rhino was sent flying by his punch and fell far away. A strong aura swept over. It was the other 4 heavenly wind rhinos that had rushed in front of Zichen. Zichen's body flashed, and he disappeared from his original spot. He appeared on the side and punched out again. After a few short attacks, the swamp that was raging with wind returned to peace. Countless mud rain fell from the sky, falling on the swamp and making splashing sounds. Zichen waved his big sleeve, collected the 5 corpses, and continued to go deeper. After a month, Zichen returned to the team and took out his harvest. Kanyamos saw the 5 heavenly wind rhinos' corpses and shouted in surprise. Zichen stayed with the team for a day, and then went deeper again. His harvest in a short month was more than the combined harvest of the entire army in decades. During this time, he would also refine the heavenly beast's inner cores. However, the increase in his cultivation was too small. In the sky, Zichen went straight ahead. Shadowless had found a new target, and was calling for him. Without a sound, the space beside him broke open, and a sharp blade went straight for Zichen's back. Chapter 2962. They had actually been ambushed. That was the first thought that appeared in Zichen's mind. Then, he calmed down. Along the way, he had been ambushed too many times. The only time he had almost been in danger was at the Black Order battlefield. The other ambushes were nothing to him. That was because Zhang Haotian had always been in the team, and also because he had already grasped the secrets of the Misty Shadow. Among the heavenly generals, who had better concealment techniques than the Misty Shadow? Only Zhang Haotian. The ambush was fast, but his thoughts were even faster. As the thought flashed through his mind, Zichen's fist had already struck out. The fist landed solidly on the sharp blade, and lightning exploded in front of him. The terrifying power wreaked havoc, and the sharp blade in front of him shattered instantly. Behind the blade was a man. He was not wearing a mask, and looked extremely unprofessional. His face was filled with shock, and his body was about to hide again. Humph! Zichen snorted coldly, and his voice was like a heavy hammer that struck the man's heart. The lightning on his fist continued to flash, and a violent aura surged out again, landing on the man's chest. Thunder roared, and the man's armor instantly shattered. Endless lightning energy poured into the man's body like a torrent. The unprofessional assassin, who looked like he was barely at the 7th grade, coughed up blood and flew backwards. His body drew an arc in the air, and he crashed to the ground, no longer breathing. Zichen walked forward, and with a wave of his hand, he collected the man's body. He did not care if the assassination was intentional or coincidental. He had no interest in it at all. With the protection of the lightning body, he was not afraid of any assassination. Furthermore, the assassin's assassination techniques were not very good. At least, they were much worse than the Misty Shadow. As for whether they would find trouble with Zhang Haotian and the others, Zichen did not care. As long as Zhang Haoyan was in the team, no assassin would be able to get close, let alone such an unprofessional one. Not long after, he met up with Shadowless, and they continued to kill the 7th grade heavenly beasts. Another month passed, and Zichun returned to the team. At this time, the team was still moving forward slowly. After returning, Su Mingyao told him that the team had been ambushed, and all of them had died. Actually, she didn't see it. It was Zhang Haoyan who said that before the opponent could make a move, Zhang Haoyan had discovered him and killed him. Zichun thought for a moment and said, "Protect Kong Mo well." Su Mingyao already knew what happened to Kong Mo. She asked him to stay in the hall at all times. Now she nods gently. Zichun once again took out some level 7 heavenly beast resources and gave them to Su Mingyao. A day later he left once again. On the day that Zichun left, Su Mingyao and the others also began to move and went directly into the depths. This time, Zichun took a full 3 months to return. Obviously, he had gained a lot. For the next half a year, sometimes once a year, 2 people appeared in front of him. Looking at these 2 rank 7 martial artists, he attacked without hesitation. After a while, the battle ended. Now, he could easily control the power of lightning and ensure that he could obtain a complete set of battle armor. The battle armor might seem useless here, but once they returned to the God realm, the battle armor here would be of great use. During this time, Zichun was also collecting materials, not letting go of any grade. He did not know which force came to assassinate him. In short, in these years many people had died. Time passed, and Zichun and the others had stayed in this area for more than 100 years. In these 100 years, they had been refining resources continuously, and everyone's realm had increased rapidly. Luo Yi was the first rank 7 martial artist in the team besides Zichun. She had broken through 50 years ago, followed by the Devil Ape and Longhu's Sovereign. The others in the team had also reached rank 6 in a very short time. Now they were not far from rank 7. In these 100 years, Kang Mo had refined 2 sets of custom-made battle armor. One was for Luo Yi, and the other was for Xingqian. Zichun's 3rd set of battle armor was still in the process of being refined. It was said that it was almost done. For a custom-made battle armor, this speed was obviously very fast. At this time, everyone had already entered the area where most of the rank 7 heavenly beasts were, but they were still moving forward slowly. As time passed, more and more people in the team had reached rank 7. Zichun still did not show any signs of breaking through. In this period of time, he had refined quite a number of heavenly beasts' inner cores. Could it be that I have to find a rank 8 heavenly beast? Zichun couldn't help but think. He had never fought with a heavenly beast of that level before, but he had fought with rank 8 heavenly beasts before, such as Donder. With this thought in mind, he began to go deeper. 5 days later, he found a rank 8 heavenly beast. It was a rank 8 Gale heavenly eagle, and it was hunting. Its sharp claws had pierced through the head of a rank 7 heavenly beast, and it was flying with the corpse. Swish! Zichun used the lightning 9 deaths and charged towards the Gale heavenly eagle. The Gale heavenly eagle had also noticed Zichun's arrival. It let go of the corpse and flew towards him. Zichun clenched his fist, and lightning flashed on his fist. Boom! The energy vibrated, and Zichun's body was pushed back. The Gale heavenly eagle also flew up into the sky. It spread its wings, and with 2 gusts of wind, it swooped down again. It swooped down fiercely, like a falling meteorite. Zichun looked at the Gale heavenly eagle as it swooped down. He could feel the terrifying aura coming towards him, and his expression turned serious. Lightning flashed on his body. It was the power of the lightning body, and also the power of yin and yang. The 3 types of energy swirled around his body, gathering towards his fist. He clenched his fist and punched out. Pun! The tricolored light exploded, and a powerful shockwave spread out. The Gale heavenly eagle cried out in pain, and was sent flying back. Zichun flew up into the sky, following it like a shadow, and punched out again. With a loud boom, the feathers on the Gale heavenly eagle's head shattered, and blood splattered everywhere as its body was sent flying. With a screech, it flapped its wings, preparing to flee. To be able to send a powerful rank 8 heavenly beast fleeing in an instant, one could see how powerful and terrifying Zichen was. Zichen's body flashed, and he used the lightning 9 deaths to the maximum. In a blink of an eye, he had caught up with the Gale Heavenly Eagle. Swish! With a raise of his hand, the blade slashed down, and a strong light flashed. The blade cut through the Gale Heavenly Eagle's head with great difficulty. Puff! Blood spurted out, and the Gale Heavenly Eagle's body was sent flying for thousands of feet before it landed on the ground. With a wave of his hand, Zichen kept the Gale Heavenly Eagle's body. Obtaining an 8th grade Heavenly Beast's inner core, his face was filled with joy. After that, he stopped moving forward, and instead, he started to refine the energy from the 8th grade Heavenly Beast's inner core. The energy was extremely powerful, and after it entered his body, it would be refined by the lightning body, and the purest part would be absorbed by his body. After refining the 8th grade Heavenly Beast's inner core, Zichen's physical body did not break through, which made him feel very regretful. Fortunately, his combat strength had increased, and the lightning around his body was even more violent. Chapter 2963. Zichen's custom-made armor was very special, not only because he was a Thunder Warrior, but also because Thunder was a Thunder Warrior. Everyone had the power of Thunder, but his Thunder energy was different from Zichen's. The power produced by Zichen's Thunder body was a very special kind of power, much more terrifying than all the Thunder power in the world. Before Kang Mo tailored the armor for Zichen, other than the prerequisite of a powerful attack, there was another essential condition, and that was the capacity. If the material could not bear Zichen's power, it would be useless even if it could be activated. After all, it was not worth it to spend tens of years to make a set of armor that could only be used once. The wind message communication bead was made by Martin, and it could be used to facilitate communication. The group rested on a barren giant peak, and the main hall stood tall. In front of the giant peak, the monk was still refining the Heavenly Beast's inner core. As they went deeper, the shortcomings of his physical body became more obvious. Although his defense was still the strongest among the group, his attack was not as outstanding because of his physical body. This was unacceptable to the stubborn monk, and he desperately wanted to improve his physical body to reach the 7th grade as soon as possible. Zichen arrived, smiled at the hard-working monk, and entered the main hall. When he entered the hall, he saw that the others were gathered around a shining armor. Kang Mo held the armor and explained the special features of the armor to everyone, and there was an uncontrollable joy on his face. Zichen's arrival attracted everyone's attention, and Kang Mo immediately said, "Big brother, the armor is ready." The armor shone brightly. Although it was not matched with the corresponding weapon, it was already extraordinary to be able to make a set of custom-made armor in just a few decades. Zichen stepped forward and took the armor. At this moment, he could feel the connection between him and the armor, and it was like water. This was the special feature of custom-made armor. With a flash of light, the armor appeared on his body, replacing the original black robe. A strong aura was released from his body, and the people around him felt an obvious pressure. This pressure came from Zichen, who had not shown his aura yet. I can clearly feel that it's stronger than before, as if it's leveled up." Zichen nodded, and he was very satisfied with the armor. Seeing that Zichen was satisfied, Kang Mo also smiled. "In that case, let's go hunt the Sky Thunder Beasts," Su Mengyao said, looking at Zichen. "Hunting Sky Thunder Beasts?" Zichen was stunned when he heard this. He said, "We already have the armor. Do we still need to hunt?" "It's not the same. The materials from the Heavenly Thunder Beast can be used by most people. They can even have the attribute of thunder. They can be considered one of the rare common materials here," Kang Mo said. "I've refined 3 sets of armor these years, and I've also strengthened a lot. I should be able to refine the Sky Thunder Beast's materials. Next, I want to use the materials there to make armor for everyone." Zichen nodded. Since the Sky Thunder Beast had such a function, he naturally wanted to see it. After a discussion, The group decided to immediately head to the Sky Thunder Beast's territory. Zichen couldn't find that place, so he needed Kong Mo to lead the way. Sky Thunder Beasts were different from other heavenly beasts. They could be found everywhere. They lived alone in an area covered by endless thunder, forming an extremely large thunder territory. The thunder territory was extremely large, and it was located in the depths. The Sky Thunder Beasts there were one of the materials that the natives were most willing to see. In this area, the best armor was not the ultimate armor, but the custom-made armor. A custom-made armor made with good materials was even stronger than an ultimate armor. Those who could reach this area were at least rank 7. Because this area was close to the core city, Sky Road City, those who came were usually from there. Since the last time the encampment was destroyed, the Divine Legion had been recuperating and never set foot in this area. This was the first time in 100 years that the powerhouses among them were on the move. The leader was the Legion's strongest powerhouse, Whaley. He was known as the strongest powerhouse in this area, but in fact, he was very clear that his so-called strongest powerhouse did not include Sky Road City. That was the powerhouse's paradise, the final gathering place. The divine generals who came here for countless years all ended up in that place. If his previous glory was that he was once the number 1 on the general ranking, then in that core city, there were no less than 2 digits who were also number 1 on the general ranking. There were even more who were once on the general ranking. People from many eras gathered here. There were many talented people, and the number of powerhouses could be imagined. Apart from Whaley, Donda was also there. There was another rank 8, and the rest were all rank 7. There were a total of 12 of them. There should have been more, but 100 years ago, Zichen killed a few of them. Whaley, you're here too? An indifferent voice suddenly came from behind. Whaley turned around and saw a group of people flying towards him. The leader was the Blood Scorpion Legion's commander, Shuesie. Behind Shuesie, there were more than 20 people. Among them, there was one more rank 8 than the Divine Legion, and the rest were all rank 7. Whaley's gaze swept across the faces of the other 3 rank 8. He said, "So you're cooperating with the Devil Mountain. The rare Thunderstone has appeared again. Of course, we're here to join in the fun. But I didn't expect you to be so well informed," Shuesie said mockingly. "I thought you thought of yourself as noble and virtuous, and had nothing to do with Sky Road City," Whaley said indifferently. "My information is far more well informed than you think. For example, the Devil Mountain has suffered a lot these years. I believe you've suffered a lot of unrewarded hardships, right?" Behind Shuesie, a rank 8's face flashed with anger, but he didn't say anything. That year, they took on an assassination mission. They thought it was an easy task, and they could even get a favor. They didn't expect to fail time and time again, causing them to suffer heavy losses. Most importantly, these losses didn't exchange for any benefits. Instead, they were blamed and pressured time and time again. Shuesie said, "Although we've suffered some losses, people will remember. On the other hand, you guys may be slowly forgotten." Whaley smiled and said, "So what? When have we not relied on ourselves to get to where we are now?" Shuesie smiled and didn't continue the topic. The 2 teams moved forward. During this time, Shuesie and Whaley chatted casually. The 2 of them weren't enemies, but they weren't friends either. In front of them, there was a huge thunder region. There were already many people standing in front of the thunder region. The leader was an aboriginal youth. He looked at the 2 teams and said unhappily, "Why are you only here now?" Whaley didn't say anything. Shuesie smiled and said, "I came as soon as I heard the news. The journey was too long, so I was delayed." The youth looked at the rank 8 behind Shuesie and said, "You're the Mountain Ghost King of the Devil Mountain?" "Yes." "Greetings, Mr. Wei." The rank 8 Mountain Ghost King cupped his fist. "You guys are too useless. I hope you can achieve something after getting the Thunderstone," Mr. Wei said coldly. "Definitely." The Mountain Ghost King nodded with a flattering look on his face. Mr. Wei looked at Whaley and frowned. "There are too many of you. There are only 5 spots." Shuesia and Mountain Ghost King smiled when they heard this. Wei Li, on the other hand, frowned. Why? Are you unhappy? Mr. Wei also frowned and his face became gloomy. At this moment, a team appeared in the distance. It was an unfamiliar team, and the leader was also an aboriginal. The two sides looked at each other from a distance, and were stunned. Chapter 2964. Zichen couldn't find the area with the sky thunder beasts, so Kang Emo led the way. Kang Emo had never been there before, so everything was in his memory. When he was leading the way, Zhang Haoyan had been following beside him to prevent any accidents from happening. After all, there had been countless assassinations all these years. Under Kang Mo's lead, they arrived outside the area where the sky thunder beasts were. Kang Emo had said that there might be others there, so Zichen, who had sensed others in advance, didn't pay much attention. However, he was a little surprised to see Wei Li and Shuesia. These two were not commonly seen. As they walked forward, Kang Emo and that native youth looked at each other. Both of them were slightly startled, but they didn't stop and continued to walk in this direction. Everyone's eyes fell on them, and Zichen felt an obvious murderous intent in the middle of it all. This killing intent fell on him, and it was obviously directed at him. Other than that, there were several killing intents that fell on Kang Emo. Among them, the most obvious killing intent came from the native youth. It's you? Just as Kang Emo was in a daze, a cold voice came from the front. It was the young man called Young Master Wei. Kang Emo raised his head and found that the other party was talking to him, so he was slightly startled and asked, "Who are you? I knew you wouldn't die so easily. I didn't expect you to still be alive." Young Master Wei looked at Kang Emo and sneered. "Do I know you?" Kang Emo looked at young Master Wei, his young face full of confusion. 20,000 years ago, we met," young Master Wei said. Kang Emo suddenly laughed and said, "Then you've got the wrong person. It hasn't been 10,000 years since I was born." A cold smile appeared on young Master Wei's lips. It was a meaningful smile, but he didn't say anything. Zichen felt that this matter wasn't so simple. In terms of credibility, this young man with obvious killing intent should be more convincing. As for Kang Emo, perhaps some of his memories were sealed, so there was some kind of illusion. Beside young Master Wei, there were some other people. They looked at this young man, and their expressions changed. Vaguely, they seemed to have guessed the origin of this young man, and they were very shocked. "You came at the right time. Did you calculate that a thunderstone would appear here?" Mr. Wei asked calmly. The killing intent from before had already disappeared. "There is a thunderstone here?" When Kang Emo heard this, his face immediately lit up with excitement. He turned around and said, "Big brother, the thunderstone can increase the success rate of refining equipment. The thunder force inside can also temper the body and increase the level of the body. It's a good thing and is extremely rare." Zichen nodded. He could clearly sense that the young man's killing intent had once again fallen on him. But he was not afraid. If the other party dared to enter, he would definitely capture the other party and ask him what had happened. "The thunderstone is naturally a good item. However, it is a pity that I am the one who has the final say in this place. Furthermore, there is a limited number of spots. You guys cannot enter," young Master Wei said indifferently. Kang Emo said discontentedly, "You're talking nonsense. In my memory, no one is in charge of this place." Young Master Wei sneered. "That's because there's something wrong with your memory. Now, this place is under our control. Oh, you may have forgotten who I am. My name is Yue." Sure enough, they were from the Yu clan. A cold light flashed through Zichen's eyes. Kang Emo shook his head and said, "I don't know you," Yue said. "It doesn't matter. This place is under my control. Considering that we are old friends, I can give you a few spots. But only a few. It's impossible for all of you to enter." Just as Kang Emo was stunned and at a loss, the sound of something breaking through the air came from behind. Several people were flying towards them. All of them were indigenous elders. They were extremely fast. Seeing these elders rushing over, Yue Wei's expression instantly changed. He turned his head and looked at the group of people behind him. His eyes became extremely cold. Being stared at by Yue Wei, these people's expressions changed. They did not understand why Yue Wei was staring at them with such cold eyes. Before he could say anything coldly, those elders had already arrived in front of him. They went straight to Kang Mo. After carefully sizing up Kang Mo from head to toe, each of them looked excited. "Greetings, young Master Kang." They bowed to Kang Mo one after another with an excited expression. "Ah, who are you guys?" Kang Mo, who was obviously still a young man, looked at these excited elders in confusion. "Young Master Kang, who we are is not important. What's important is you. You are the young master of the Kang clan and also the only son of the Kang clan, young Master Kang Xian." An elder was so excited that he cried, "Young Master, it's been 20,000 years. We have been looking for you so bitterly." The other elders looked excited as if they had seen their loved ones. Yue Wei's expression was gloomy and he sneered at the side. The others looked at each other. Some of the insiders were silent. Zichen did not know what was going on. He stood at the side and did not speak. Another group of people came from behind. However, after they noticed the scene in front of them, they deliberately slowed down and did not cause too much of a commotion. Zichen noticed that the weakest of these people were rank 7. There were some rank 8 and even rank 9. Clearly, their purpose of coming was for the Thunderbolt Rock that was mentioned earlier. But what was the purpose of rank 9 coming here? Could it be that the Thunderstone could help them break through to the God King level? I say, did you get the wrong person? I'm Kang Mo, not Kang Xian. Looking at these sad elders, Kang Mo explained. No mistake. Young Master, you are exactly the same as your father when he was young. You are Kang Xian. And your father is our alliance chief, Kang Hongye. An elder said excitedly. Kang Mo waved his hand and said, You really got the wrong person. My father is not Kang Hongye. He is Kang Ziyuan. The elder said in a deep voice. In this world, there is no second surname Kang. Kang Mo looked very helpless. He turned his head and asked Zichen for help. Zichen said indifferently, Elders, you got the wrong person. We still have to rush inside. We won't accompany you. Who are you? How dare you speak to us like this? The elders who were very polite to Kang Mo earlier were much colder towards Zichen. Zichen said indifferently, Who I am is not important. What's important is that you are blocking the way. You! The elders were furious. At this moment, Kang Mo said, Please move aside. We are going inside to kill the Thunderstone. I heard that the Thunderstone has appeared too. But is there really a quota limit? Quota limit? The elder was stunned. He asked, Who said that? Kang Mo looked at Yue Wei. He said that he is in charge of this place. There is a quota limit. Chapter 2965. Facing the old men's scolding, Yue Wei smiled, but it was a cold smile. However, he didn't refute. If there's no limit, then we'll go in, Kang Mo said and was about to enter the Thunder Field. Young Master's servants can go in, but young Master, don't go in. An old man stood in front of Kang Mo, intentionally or unintentionally blocking his path. They're my friends, not servants. Kang Mo was very dissatisfied. The old man immediately said, Oh, friends are fine too. But it's too dangerous inside. Young Master can wait outside and let your friends go in. Kang Mo was very dissatisfied. The old man stood in front of him and didn't budge. Behind Kang Mo, Zichen said unyieldingly, Kang Mo must go with us. It's young Master Kang Xian. Young man, pay attention to your tone, the old man said with extreme dissatisfaction in a strict tone. He's Kang Mo, not young Master Kang Xian. If you want to find your young master, go elsewhere. Zichen replied indifferently. How dare you disrespect young master? You're courting death. The old man's eyes flashed coldly, and his body surged with killing intent. Zichen's mouth curved into a smile, but it was extremely cold. Courting death? Then let's try it. Su Mingyao reached out and pulled Kang Emo back. What happened today was very unexpected, but no matter what, she had to ensure that Kang Emo would be safe. Bitch, take your... The old man shouted angrily. But before he could finish speaking, Zichen had already disappeared from where he stood. Bang! A ripple spread out from the old man's body, and he flew backward. He couldn't finish his words. Whoosh! 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 At the same time, a black light wandered around the old man, and the defense around the old man constantly rippled. The black light disappeared like a phantom. Zichen stood where the old man was, frowning. Although he didn't use his full strength just now, that attack wasn't weak either. It didn't hurt the old man. Zhang Haoqian's attack didn't break the old man's defense. The old man's body fell to the ground. After he flipped over and got up, his face was gloomy as he coldly said, "You lowly outsiders want to kill me? Don't you know that we're high and mighty, and we're here to restrain you?" Puff! As his voice fell, his gloomy face began to turn red, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The expressions of the surrounding people changed as they looked at Zichen with fluctuating emotions. Yue stood at the side and watched this scene quietly. He was still smiling coldly. He was very happy to see such a scene. The others were silent, but their expressions were changing. Donda sighed with emotion. A faint smile appeared on Wei Li's face. "You must die!" Zichen stared at the old man in front of him, his eyes filled with killing intent. "Just based on a lowly outsider like you?" The old man was filled with disdain. There was also anger in his eyes. "That's enough, Kess. Watch your tone. They are all friends of the young master," another old man said angrily. "I'm not your young master, and you insulted my friend. Big brother, let's go!" Kang De was obviously angry. He walked straight ahead. "Don't go, young master. It's too dangerous inside." The old man named Kess stood in front of him again. Black light surrounded the demon ape, and the black rod in his hand lit up. "How interesting. You call him young master and are as respectful as an old dog. In the end, you are stopping the young master from finding his opportunity. The young master you speak of is really something." Yue finally spoke. There was undisguised mockery on his face. Kess said to Yue, "Shut up. Who do you think you are to talk to me like this?" Yue said indifferently, "Let's not talk about who I am for now. What I said is not the truth. The young master wants to go in and explore. Who are you to stop him? If the young master wants to go in, who are you to stop him?" Then Yue looked at Kang Mo and said respectfully, "Young master, the thunderstones inside are very beneficial for refining weapons. They can also increase the level of refining weapons quickly. I agree with you going in and exploring." When these two natives were talking, the others didn't say anything. They were all divine generals. It was unknown if they couldn't interrupt or if they didn't have the right to interfere. When Kess called him a despicable outsider, it seemed to indicate a certain attitude. "Get out of the way." Kang Mo looked at Kess, his young face full of anger. Kess naturally wouldn't get out of the way. If Kang Mo went in, only death would await him. "Kess, get out of the way." At this moment, the old man who spoke earlier said again, "Ka Pa, if you let the young master go in now, he will definitely die." Kess said with dissatisfaction, "Why don't you think about the young master's safety? I will send people to protect the young master." Ka Pa said, "Tuoming, bring people into the thunder field to protect the young master." "Okay." A voice came from behind. "I don't need your protection. I am not your young master." Kang Mo walked forward and entered the thunder field. Zichen and the others followed Kang Mo closely. "Everyone, don't just stand there. Hurry up and go in to protect the young master." Yue's gaze also swept around and fell on Wei Li and the others. "Let's go." Wei Li led the army and walked towards the thunder field. Blood Scorpion smiled coldly and followed. This time, there must be no mistakes. Yue's voice sounded in their minds. "Everyone go in. Don't just stand there. Protect the young master first." Yue said to the others. You are really lucky. If the young master didn't come, how could you be so lucky? After entering, the first condition is to protect the young master. Everyone had entered the Lightning Dominion, leaving only the natives behind. At this moment, the few old men looked very excited, as if they were really happy to find the young master. As for Yue, he had already sent a voice transmission to his family. After entering the Thunderfield, there were violent thunderbolts all around. Everyone raised their defenses and blocked the surrounding thunderbolts. Sister, I'm sorry. Kang Emo looked back at Su Mengyao and said apologetically. Silly child, this is not your fault. You don't have to apologize, Su Mengyao said with a smile. Just as Kang Emo was about to say something, another person entered the Thunderfield. Among them, there was a divine general called Toa Ming. He was wearing a custom-made armor and had an extremely powerful aura. Toa Ming was once second on the ranking of generals. He was ranked behind Wei Li. Luo Yi sent a voice transmission to Zichen. Clearly, this existence was already at level 9. Coupled with the custom-made armor, his combat strength should be extremely powerful. Zichen did not stop and gestured for everyone to continue going in. Toa Ming led the others and followed behind. Then, the others entered one after another. After entering, they followed far behind and did not come forward. Looking at their expressions, it seemed like they were all here to protect Kang Emo. However, Zichen knew very well that many of them had killing intent towards Kang Emo. Be careful. There are far more enemies than you expect. At this moment, Zichen heard Wei Li's voice transmission. He immediately stopped and waved his sleeves. The others around him disappeared. Chapter 2966. Seeing this teleportation skill, everyone's expression changed. Their divine thoughts were suppressed here, so they had no idea where the other party was. Obviously, they had lost their target as soon as they came in. Let's go! Toa Ming's eyes flashed with a strange light. He led his men and flew forward. Since the target was gone, he could not go back to report. After Toa Ming left, the others also left. No one knew if they were going to look for the Thunderstone or Kang Emo. Wei Li, you have to hurry. Shui Scorpion led his men and left. Before leaving, he said with a smile, If we get there first, you will be in danger. In the blink of an eye, only the Divine Legion was left here. Wei Li glanced at Donder. Before Wei Li could speak, Donder said, Don't worry. I'm not stupid. Wei Li nodded slightly and said, Let's disperse and look for our own opportunities. The team then separated. Even Donder and that rank 8 left alone. Wei Li was the only one left here. He walked forward. Other people's divine thoughts would be affected here, but Zichen's spiritual thoughts were not. After taking the others into his world, he teleported. When he reappeared, Monk and the others also appeared. Where's the Thunderstone? Zichen looked at Kang Emo and asked. I'm not sure. It should be in the depths, Kang Emo said. After all, he had never been here before. Everything he knew was from his memory. What's wrong with that old man's defense? Why can't I break it? Zhang Haotian asked the question in his mind. The others were also puzzled. With Zhang Haotian's current combat strength, it was easy for him to kill a rank 7 expert. However, he could not break the old man's defense even with the 9 extremities weapon. The natives here have a refining field after awakening. This field has an absolute restraining effect on foreign divine generals. How should I put it? It should be deliberately targeted, Kang Emo said. Why deliberately targeted? Devil Ape asked. In order to not be controlled. This was Zichen's answer. Obviously, this was because of the rules of the world. If the natives here could not restrain the divine race, they would be controlled by the divine race, and then enslaved. With the restraining means, they had the capital to resist, and not be enslaved. Therefore, they thought themselves superior, and felt that the outsiders were lowly. This was neither good nor bad, and Zichen believed that this kind of restraint was not absolute. If one's combat power was strong enough, it was not impossible to break through the domain. There's a sky thunder beast 1,000 feet ahead. It's probably at the 7th rank. Demon ape, you go and kill it. Zichen, who was spreading his spiritual senses, made a discovery. Zichen was a thunder martial artist, and this was the thunder territory. It was normal for him to be able to sense the abnormalities around him with his spiritual senses. Blacksmiths are also divided into different grades. Right now, I am a 6th grade blacksmith. I should be able to barely refine materials for a 7th grade sky thunder beast. Kang Mo continued. Aren't you already able to refine materials for the wind rhinoceros? That's a 7th grade material, the monk beside him said in confusion. The sky thunder beast is different. Their materials are more special and sturdier. Under normal circumstances, only 7th rank weapon refiners can refine them. At that moment, the sound of battle could be heard from afar. It was the battle between the devil ape and the rank 7 heavenly thunder beast. However, despite its strength, it did not immediately gain the upper hand. Thunder, Xingqian, you guys go and help. Someone is coming. With Zichen's spiritual senses, it was obviously impossible for those people to go forward. Thunder and Xingqian went forward and joined the battle. After a while, the battle ended and the three of them flew back with the materials. Let's go. After the battle ended, Zichen led everyone to the next area where the Sky Thunder Beast was and then arranged for everyone to act accordingly. Big brother, the thunderbolts here can also be used to temper the body. Kang Mo reminded him as they moved forward. Zichen said, Then let's take these thunderbolts away and leave them for everyone to slowly temper. He opened his world and began to collect the power of the thunderbolts. A huge vortex appeared in the air and the endless power of the thunderbolts around was swallowed by the vortex. After these thunderbolts entered Zichen's world, they did not wreak havoc in the world. Instead, they were placed in a newly opened independent space. Soon, Zichen found that the power of the thunderbolts weakened significantly after entering the special space. This made him very surprised. He tried several times in a row, but it was the same. In the end, he had no choice but to give up and come to a conclusion. The rules of the two worlds were different. When the power of the thunderbolts entered his world, it would lose its effect. In this way, the method he wanted to let everyone enter the space to grow obviously would not work. Therefore, when everyone moved forward, they began to absorb the thunderbolts around them to strengthen their bodies. During this period, Zichen intended to impart the thunder physique to them but found that it was impossible to succeed. Therefore, he settled for the next best thing. Everyone cultivated Zichen's perfect physique. This was a technique from the heavenly book, so it was naturally powerful. They absorbed the thunderbolts as they walked. Demonic ape, 3,000 feet to the left. Luoi, 5,000 feet to the right. During this period, Zichen would order others to kill the Sky Thunder Beasts when he discovered them. According to Kang Mo, the lowest level of the Sky Thunder Beast was 7th grade, and the lowest level of the people who came here to explore was also 7th grade. Undoubtedly, more than half of their teams had not reached the lowest level, so they could only wander around this area and wait quietly for everyone to break through. With Zichen's spiritual senses, they could detect the Sky Thunder Beasts. On the first day, they harvested more than a dozen. During this period, 2 of them were killed by Zichen, which was relatively easy. On the second day, they killed more than 20. This harvest was obviously not small. Halfway through, after discovering other people, Zichen would deliberately lead everyone to avoid them. When they could not avoid them, he would teleport everyone. After half a month, everyone had gained a lot. They had been wandering around this area and did not encounter any other teams. During this period, Su Mengyao and the other 6th grade martial artists began to refine the Sky Thunder Beast's inner elixir. In addition, they used the power of thunderbolts here to temper their bodies. Their progress was very fast. After everyone broke through to 7th grade, Zichen would go deep to look for thunderstones. On this day, Zichen's spiritual senses detected someone in the distance. He was slightly startled, but he did not leave directly. After a while, the other party appeared in everyone's sight. It was Wei Li of the Divine Legion. You're really here. After seeing Zichen, Wei Li showed a smile on his face. Why are you looking for me? Zichen looked at Wei Li. He did not have a bad impression of him. Wei Li glanced at him in private and smiled. Come with me. Zichen walked forward, and Wei Li followed behind. Chapter 2967. Hearing Wei Li's voice transmission, Zichen was very surprised. Previously, he was very confused about why everyone addressed Kang Mo as young master, so he naturally wanted to know the reason. However, he couldn't guess Wei Li's intentions. The two didn't seem to have any friendship, so why would he be so kind as to tell him? If there really was a friendship, it was because he had killed many of the Divine Legion's people and almost killed the second-in-command, Donder. At that time, Wei Li had already proposed to use his protection of Su Mengyao and the others in exchange for Donda's life. Wei Li didn't seem to notice Zichen's suspicion and continued. Let's start with the alliance. There was an alliance in Heaven Road City formed by the natives. There were elders and leaders in the alliance, and they all had their own forces. The Kang family used to be the most powerful, and Kang Mo's father was the alliance leader. This situation continued for many years until a very big thing happened in the middle of it. As for what it was, there was no way to verify it. After that incident, the prosperous Kang family fell from grace. The members of the Kang family were targeted by the alliance. They were either killed or captured. Even the alliance leader was captured. After that incident, the Yu family rose to power, and the Yu family's leader became the new alliance leader. It has been like this ever since. Zichen didn't understand and asked, since they joined hands to destroy the Kang family, why did they call Kang Mo young master? Wei Li said, there has always been a rumor that what happened back then was just a misunderstanding. Everyone misunderstood the Kang family, and caused an unjust case. However, the Kang family had already declined, and the alliance members felt guilty. They felt that the Kang family couldn't have no descendants, so they recognized Kang Mo as their young master. Zichen sneered. If they really felt guilty, why didn't they save Kang Mo's father? I think all of this was the alliance's doing, right? Zichen naturally didn't believe in guilt. If they really felt guilty, they wouldn't have waited until now. Wei Li looked at Zichen with admiration. Just from some basic information, he was able to come to such a conclusion. This proved that Zichen's intelligence was extraordinary. He said, actually, these are all rumors to the outside world. The truth is that the benefits between the alliance are unequal. At that time, the Kang family was too powerful, and the alliance gradually couldn't suppress them, so there was this talk of joining hands to suppress them. The so-called major event was more like a groundless accusation. However, the people of the alliance never thought that the Yu clan, which they had supported together, would be even greedier than the Kang clan. Therefore, under their intervention, not all of the Kang clan's people were killed. The alliance master was only imprisoned but did not die. All these years, the Yu family did not dare to openly search for Kang Mo, who might still be alive, because of the alliance's interference. Similarly, when they learned that Kang Mo was still alive, they still didn't dare to directly send experts from Heaven Road City because of this reason. Zichen looked at Wei Li and said, do you mean that the reason those old men acknowledged young Lord Kang Mo's identity is to use Kang Mo to suppress the Yu family? That's right. This way, it would be perfectly justifiable. Who knows, they might even support him to become the alliance master. Wei Li said, the reason why Donder attacked your people last time was that he wanted the Yu clan to owe him a favor. The Yu clan is too powerful, even more powerful than the Kang clan. Of course, those united alliance forces are also not to be underestimated. However, no one can guarantee that none of them have been secretly bribed by the Yu clan. Zichen said, are you telling me all this to remind me not to get involved in this matter? Wei Li shook his head and said, no. I think this is an opportunity that you need to fight for. What opportunity? Zichen asked. The key to the gate to the Divine King's world is in the hands of the Yu clan. This time, you have the opportunity to enter the trap. Maybe you can seize the opportunity to seize the key. Looking at the puzzled Zichen, Wei Li explained, A ninth-grade physical body is qualified to break through to the Divine King realm. However, the laws of this world are blocked, so no one can break through the laws. The only way is to leave this place and go to the Divine King's world. During this period, there is a gate to the Divine King's world. The one in charge of the key was once the Kong clan, but now the Yu clan. Without the key, you can't open the gate or enter it. Everyone here is a divine champion. Moreover, there is no exit here, so everyone is basically trapped here. In the era when the Kong clan held the key, although they still suppressed us, they also gave us fair opportunities. Since the Yu clan held the key, everything has changed. They gave others opportunities based on their preferences, which almost completely cut off our path. During this period, almost all the experts who gathered in Sky Road City sought refuge with the Yu clan, hoping that one day the Yu clan would give them a chance to enter the gate. This is also why all the powers want to establish a relationship with the Yu clan. Although I didn't agree with what Donder did last time, it was what most people did. Hearing Wei Li's words, Zichen was shocked. He didn't expect the Yu clan to have this ability. After you leave, the Alliance's people will definitely bring Kong Emo into Sky Road City and use him to pressure the Yu clan. At that time, whether you want to enter the trap or not will completely depend on you. Don't expect the Alliance to give us many benefits after they win. You can see how they treated us outsiders before. Once they use Kong Emo to suppress the Yu clan, Kong Emo will no longer be useful. You should be able to guess what will happen to him. I even suspect that they'll bring Kong Emo back to negotiate. If the Yu clan is willing to compromise, the Kong clan may be destroyed. Zichen looked at Wei Li and asked, "Why are you telling me this?" Wei Li said, "You're only a rank 7, but you can kill a rank 8. Your combat power is the strongest I've ever seen. I think you have the possibility of breaking the rules." The so-called rule suppression was naturally referring to the refining domain of the Aboriginals. Zichen frowned and fell into deep thought. "Of course, before that, you need to ensure that Kong Emo leaves alive. These years, the Yu clan's power and influence is far beyond your imagination. Don't expect others to help you. You can only trust yourself and the people around you." Wei Li turned and left. Before he left, he sent a voice transmission. "If you plan to enter the trap, remember to call me. This time, if you enter, I'll bet on you and myself." Wei Li left, leaving Zichen alone. He frowned and fell into deep thought. Footsteps sounded. Su Mingyao, surrounded by energy, walked over and asked softly, "What happened?" Zichen shook his head and said, "We'll talk about it when we get out." Zichen didn't plan to think about this problem for now. Even if he wanted to bring everyone into the trap, the first thing he had to do was to raise everyone's ranks quickly so that they would have the combat power to enter the trap. After all, there were many rank SIXS in the team. Chapter 2968. Outside the Thunder region, the natives didn't leave. They were all waiting outside, looking very excited. This excitement naturally came from the young master's appearance, which made them see hope. Yue stood aside and didn't say anything. He glanced at the elders from time to time, then sneered. Yue knew what they were thinking and what their purpose was, but he didn't care. All these years, they had been playing tricks again and again, but when had they ever succeeded? He had already notified his family. Before long, many strong warriors would come here. When that time came, the Kong family's remaining members would definitely die. After this, the Kong family might disappear forever. Not long after, Yue's expression changed. Because his family hadn't arrived yet, but the Alliance's people had, and there were many of them. Those who came were all divine generals recruited by the Alliance, and there were 8th grade and 9th grade divine generals. Although the Yu family had been the dominant family all these years and recruited many strong warriors, countless strong warriors had gathered in Heaven Road City. Naturally, some of them would accept the Alliance's recruitment. Ka Pa looked at the arriving divine generals and said loudly, "Quickly go inside and protect the young master. If anything happens to the young master, bring your heads to me." His words were very rude, but the meaning was clear. No matter what, nothing could happen to the young master. These strong warriors responded and entered the Thunder region one after another. Little kid from the Yu family, did you inform your family to come here and pay respects to the young master? An elder said to Yue, who was not far away. Yes, they'll be here soon, Yue said, then sneered again. They would be here soon, but not to pay respects, but to kill. Zichen didn't continue to go deeper. He led everyone to hunt sky thunder beasts in this region, and at the same time, he used the lightning here to temper his body. His spiritual sense covered an extremely far place, and he found that more and more people were entering here, but he didn't know if they were friends or foes. Wei Li said that no one could be trusted, so they should all be enemies. During this period, he led everyone to hide twice, avoiding everyone. But because of this, everyone's harvest obviously decreased. Sometimes, when they found a sky thunder beast, others would pass by coincidentally, so they could only give up. Further in was the area of 8th grade sky thunder beasts. Except for Zichen, the others didn't have the strength to kill 8th grade sky thunder beasts. They stayed in this area for several months. Then, there were fewer and fewer people. They must have gone deeper. After Wei Li appeared last time, he didn't appear again. In the time that followed, everyone broke through to rank 7 one after another. It had to be said that this thunder territory could improve one's physical body very quickly, especially for those rank 6 martial artists. At this point, all of them were considered to have reached the lowest level of exploration. After some discussion, they set off towards the depths. The deeper they went, the more dangerous it would be. Everyone was mentally prepared for this. When they went deeper, Zichen found that they only encountered level 7 heavenly thunder beasts. During this time, he did not encounter any level 8 heavenly thunder beasts. As for the thunderstones mentioned earlier, he did not see any of them. After advancing in this manner for half a month, Zichen discovered that the number of lightning bolts in front of him had decreased. It was as if he had already left the lightning territory. Continuing forward, there was no longer any lightning in the surroundings. However, there was still lightning surging in the sky. From time to time, a bolt of lightning would descend, causing rumbling sounds to ring out. The aura here was much stronger than the outside world. After traveling for several hours, Zichen saw many people. They gathered at the front in groups of 3 to 5, either standing or sitting. They seemed to be very bored, and their gazes would occasionally look outside as if they were waiting for something. Suddenly, someone turned his head and saw Zichen. His spirits were immediately lifted, and he, who was originally sitting, stood up. The others also noticed the arrival of Zichen and the others and looked over. Their expressions all changed, as if they had been waiting for their arrival. Looking at so many people, Kang Emo was obviously nervous and stood behind Zichen. "Greetings, young master!" Some of the divine generals at the front cupped their fists respectfully to Kang Emo. Among them, Zichen saw Divine General Tuoming and the commander of the Blood Scorpion Legion. The former's respectful manner was still acceptable, but the latter's respectful manner was obviously too fake. In addition, there were many divine generals that Zichen did not know. Their realms were at least level 7, and the highest was level 9. They were all very polite to Kang Emo. If Kang Mo's family was a superpower, it would be fine for everyone to be so respectful. However, this was obviously not the case. Facing this scene, Kang Emo was completely at a loss and hid behind Zichen. Zichen said indifferently, "Everyone, please dispense with the formalities." In an instant, Zichen felt many dissatisfied and cold gazes. It was as if they were all saying, "Who do you think you are to speak on behalf of the young master? Young master, the Thunderstone is in this open space of the Thunder region. We have been waiting for young master. Next, we will protect young master's safety and help young master obtain the Thunderstone smoothly." Tuoming walked up and said. At this moment, Zichen noticed that behind the crowd, there was a strange space whirlpool. The thunderbolts between heaven and earth were all swallowed by this whirlpool. There was a passage in the whirlpool that looked very stable. No matter what the purpose of these people was, they were undoubtedly waiting here and did not enter. No wonder they were not looking for Kang Emo previously. Obviously, these people had already determined that they would come here. Kang Emo looked at Zichen and obviously could not make up his mind. Let's go. Zichen walked forward without any hesitation. Su Mengyao pulled Kang Emo and the group followed behind Zichen. Tuoming, right? Many thanks for this time, Zichen said with a smile as he looked at Divine General Tuoming. Tuoming shook his head and said coldly, You don't have to do this. I am not helping you. I am helping the young master. Furthermore, I don't like you. Zichen laughed again when he heard that. His laughter was very loud. Many cold gazes fell on Zichen. In an inconspicuous place, Wei Li, who was standing beside Donder, shook his head. As one of the first and second ranked on the ranking of generals, he naturally recognized Tuoming and knew that Tuoming was proud and arrogant. However, if he underestimated Zichen like this, he would definitely suffer a great loss. Wei Li's gaze swept across the surroundings and felt the killing intent in many people's eyes. Clearly, these people would be the first to suffer. What should we do? Donder turned his head and looked at Wei Li. Wei Li said, Let's just watch quietly. This time, blood will probably flow like a river. Recalling how powerful Zichen was in the past, Donder nodded his head in agreement. However, he was still a little hesitant. Of course, it will be the same when facing other people. However, this time, there are many rank 9 martial artists. That Zichen seems to still be a rank 7 martial artist. 100 years ago, he already had the ability to deal with rank 9 martial artists. I don't believe that he has not improved in 100 years. Under Wei Li's watch, Zichen and the group entered the space with the thunderstones. As soon as they entered, the others could not wait to enter. Chapter 2969. As soon as they entered, they lost their target. Many people's expressions changed as they were shocked by the speed of Zichen's group. They didn't say anything and immediately flew forward. The real opportunity here was the Thunderstone. It could allow one to break through. Even for a grade 9, after refining it, there would be room for growth. Hence, if they couldn't find anyone for now, they could still look for the Thunderstone. Most importantly, there was only one exit in this place. They just had to block it at the end. So this is the Thunderstone. In front of Zichen, there was a palm-sized jade stone floating. The jade stone was surging with the power of thunder, and it was glaring. Under his feet, there was a grade 7 heavenly thunder beast. It had lost its vitality. After teleporting here, he saw the Thunderstone and killed the heavenly thunder beast beside him at the same time. With a flash of brilliance, Monk and the rest appeared. They saw the Thunderstone floating in the sky and looked at it curiously. Kang Emo said excitedly, This is the Thunderstone. Refining it can improve one's strength. The effect is much better than refining the power of thunder here. To everyone, this thing was obviously an opportunity. Zichen grabbed the Thunderstone and said, There are still a lot of them around. Everyone, form a small team and look for them separately. But don't go too far. Kang Emo, follow me. After Zichen finished speaking, his figure disappeared. At the same time, Kang Emo, who was beside him, also disappeared. Thousands of feet away, Zichen's figure appeared. The moment he appeared, a fist hit the heavenly thunder beast in front of him. With a loud bang, thunder waves spread out. The grade 7 heavenly thunder beast was sent flying. It fell to the ground and died. After collecting the corpse, Zichen also collected the Thunderstone floating beside it. Not every Thunderstone had a heavenly thunder beast beside it. Next, Zichen used his mind. His spiritual thoughts spread out continuously with the help of the world. During this period, he found dozens of Thunderstones. To Zichen, this place was a paradise. His ability wasn't restricted at all. Whoosh! Kang Emo followed beside Zichen. His body was constantly shrouded by a ball of energy, and then released. Every time his figure appeared, he would see the Thunderstone. Every single time, there was never a time when he was free. At first, he thought it was luck, but it was the same every time. Gradually, a look of shock appeared on his face. In his memory, The Thunderstone was a really good thing. Blacksmiths needed it, and so did those divine generals. It was very precious, so it was very rare. Unexpectedly, with Zichen around, everything became so simple. Furthermore, Kang Mo slowly realized that Zichen was no longer searching for a single piece of Thunderstone. Sometimes, he would even search for a few pieces together. The flashing lightning was extremely eye-catching. Seeing that Zichen's harvest kept increasing, Kang Mo gradually became excited. With so many Thunderstones, he believed that everyone would be able to break through again. Shwa! With another flash of light, Zichen arrived in the air and looked ahead. In front of him, there was a rolling thunderbolt. Within the thunderbolt, there were a total of 13 thunderbolts floating up and down. Obviously, this was a great harvest. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth as he flew forward. Shwa! 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 At this moment, there were rays of light flying from afar. They were extremely fast and landed around Zichen. Kang Mo looked at these people around him and realized that their expressions were cold and stern. There was an undisguised killing intent on them. Kang Mo remembered that before they came here, they had bowed to him and called him young lord. Right now, this killing intent was not directed at Kang Mo, but at Zichen. These people did not speak. They went straight for Zichen as if they had an irreconcilable grudge with him. Zichen smiled faintly. Trying to fool him with these little tricks? That's not good enough. A ball of light flew out from his body and landed on Kang Mo. As Zichen moved, Kang Mo also moved with him. Zichen rushed to the front of a rank 7 and punched out. Thunder roared. This punch carried a powerful and terrifying thunder might. After feeling the power of this punch, the rank 7 who was originally filled with killing intent changed his expression immediately. He turned from offense to defense. The long sword in his hand blocked in front of him. Divine light lingered, forming a god's light shield. The fist dazzling with lightning approached. Accompanied by a violent roar, the god's light shield shattered and the divine sword was knocked away. The lightning fist's momentum did not decrease and landed on the rank 7's chest. Endless lightning broke the armor's defense. The lightning force entered the other party's body through the armor. The other party coughed up blood and flew backward. His aura gradually disappeared. In the past 100 years, Zichen had killed countless rank 7 heavenly beasts. Relatively speaking, those heavenly beasts' combat power surpassed that of ordinary rank 7 divine generals. Unless the other party wore custom-made armor, they would not be able to block his thunder body's punch. As for custom-made armor, the natives of Heaven Road City were busy fighting for benefits. How would they have the time to make it for them? Even if they had the resources, it would not be enough. This rank 7 fell to the ground and died as expected. When the other rank 7s saw this, their expressions changed greatly. However, they did not give up attacking. Midway, 2 of them quietly changed their target. Kang Mo felt a bone-piercing killing intent. This killing intent made his heart tremble. At this time, he was shrouded in lightning and could not support his domain. Naturally, he could not form a restraint on the others. Roars sounded around him. Countless lightning bolts exploded and spread in all directions. It was as if a new thunder domain was formed here. The roars lasted for more than 10 breaths. When it disappeared, the lightning around him also dispersed. Kang Mo looked around through the lightning bolts and found that there was no one alive. Their corpses were swept back by the energy light and disappeared beside Zichen. Whoosh! At the same time, Zichen brought Kang Mo and rushed into the lightning ahead. After taking the 13 thunderstones, they disappeared. After a while, a team arrived. Other than the bloodstains on the ground, they did not find anything else. Zichen used his expanded spiritual senses to quickly search for the thunderstones. Naturally, his harvest was getting bigger and bigger. Monk and the others formed a team according to Zichen's instructions and began to search for the thunderstones. Because their spiritual senses were suppressed and they could not teleport, their harvest was naturally not as good as Zichen's. Boom! Energy roared. A rank 7 sky thunder beast was sent flying by Monk's light shield. Devil Ape rushed up and smashed down with the black rod in its hand. In the roar, some of the scales on the sky thunder beast broke and blood splattered. Poof! Zhang Haotian rushed up. The long spike in his hand pierced through the broken scales of the sky thunder beast. A powerful force entered the beast's body. The three of them attacked one after another. After the sky thunder beast fell to the ground, there was no sound. Monk flew forward. There was a thunderstone there, and he grabbed it. When he grabbed the thunderstone, he felt that there was something in the lightning above. Chapter 2970. The monk raised his head and saw the thunderstone as well. However, it was not just one stone, but one piece. To be more precise, it was a big piece, like a huge rock. If he cut this big piece of thunderstone, he might be able to get tens of thousands of small thunderstones. The monk subconsciously wanted to exclaim, but he immediately covered his mouth. He looked around and found that no one was paying attention to him. "Monster Ape, come here!" the monk quietly shouted. Perhaps he was too excited that he forgot to send a voice transmission. The monster ape looked back at the monk and found him waving at him in a sneaky and mysterious manner. He frowned and said, "Do you want to take it all for yourself?" The monk was angry. He thought that he would get tens of thousands of thunderstones soon. Why would he care about one? Moreover, what did he mean by taking it all for himself? Was Lord Zeng that kind of person? Lord Zeng wanted to share some benefits with you, but you thought so lowly of Lord Zeng. Just as the monk was thinking about what words to use to criticize and educate the monster ape, to make him realize his mistake, and at the same time, to show his noble, selfless, generous, and magnanimous identity, a powerful force suddenly appeared and fell on him. The monk's body flew out uncontrollably. A powerful force entered his body through the upper armor and kept surging. Blood spurted out of his mouth. His body fell to the ground and a deep pit appeared on the ground. Smoke and dust were rolling in the deep pit. "Who sneak attacked Lord Zeng?" The monk's angry voice came out of the smoke and dust. A powerful aura blew away the smoke and dust. His body soared into the sky. The monster ape held the black stick tightly in his hand and was already on guard. He stared coldly in front of him. Zhang Haotian had disappeared. A man stood in front of him. He was an 8th grade divine general wearing a custom-made armor. It was the Mountain Ghost King who was with Blood Scorpion. In the past 100 years, his people had dealt with them too many times. Every time, they suffered heavy losses and never came back. This time, he came here personally. The Mountain Ghost King was very regretful that he did not see Kong Mo. However, seeing these people was the same. He would kill them one by one. There would be a time when he would kill them all. However, he did not expect that the first time he attacked, he did not kill the strange Baldy in the upper armor. Hearing the monk's voice, he narrowed his eyes and said, "Baldy, your defense is not bad. Baldy? Open your dog eyes wide and look carefully. I am your Lord Buddha. Does your Lord Buddha understand? I really don't know how you grew up." The monk's counterattack was naturally sharp. He didn't give the Mountain Ghost King a chance to speak as he charged forward. As he charged forward, the monk's body was shrouded in Buddhist light. A huge Buddha shadow appeared and slapped down with its palm. Buddhist light illuminated the heaven and earth. The golden light was resplendent as a huge palm descended from the sky towards the Mountain Ghost King. "You are courting death!" Killing intent surged from the Mountain Ghost King's body. He clenched his right fist, releasing the aura of a rank 8. His custom-made armor lit up as he punched the sky. When the fist light met the palm print, a powerful force exploded. The Buddha light palm print was instantly penetrated. The fist light did not lose its momentum and landed on the Buddha's shadow. The Buddha's shadow shattered, and a powerful energy rumbled, turning into a storm that swept out in all directions. Tyrant rushed out of the storm with a shield of light in his hand. In an instant, he arrived in front of the Mountain Ghost King. Like a golden meteor, he crashed into the other party. Boom! With a loud bang, a powerful ripple spread out in all directions. The mountain ghost king was forced back. Divine light flowed on the surface of his body, neutralizing the powerful impact. This attack naturally wouldn't injure him. However, as in rank 8 with a custom-made armor, he was sent flying by a rank 7 baldy wearing a nondescript armor. This made him lose face. At this moment, the heaven and earth darkened. Demonic clouds rolled in the sky as a huge black ape walked out of the clouds. It held a huge black staff in its hand and smashed it towards the mountain ghost king. The mountain ghost king roared as the patterns on his armor lit up. He punched out again, and a powerful aura caused the surrounding space to distort. Boom! With a loud bang, the demonic clouds scattered a little. The black ape's giant-like body was forced back a few steps. After stabilizing his body, an even more powerful aura surged from his body. At the same time, the surrounding demonic clouds became denser. The sky immediately darkened as if night had fallen. The black staff smashed down again, this time with an even more violent force. With another bang, the mountain ghost king's body was sent flying. The demonic ape's attack was very powerful, but it was obviously very difficult for it to break through in rank 8's defense. The mountain ghost king was sent flying, and his expression became even more unsightly. Before he could stabilize his body, boundless lightning surged like a chain connecting heaven and earth. A long spear pierced through the air. Lei Ting had arrived. They were originally divided into several small teams and weren't far from this place. When a fierce battle happened on one side, the other side could naturally see it and arrive in time. Boundless lightning flashed as Lei Ting's spear pierced the mountain ghost king's chest, but it was blocked by the armor. With a bang, the mountain ghost king was sent flying even further. Immediately after, Roy arrived and slashed down with his sword. The sharp sword swept past the mountain ghost king's neck. The sword light couldn't break through the mountain ghost king's defense, and was shattered instead. The custom-made armor's defense was very strong. Coupled with the fact that the opponent was in rank 8, it was impossible for them to break through the mountain ghost king's armor even if they worked together. However, this still made the mountain ghost king furious. He was in rank 8, but he was humiliated by a group of rank 7. Boom! He stabilized his body and his aura fully erupted, becoming even more terrifying and powerful. Whoosh! At this moment, a green light appeared from below and quickly wrapped around his body. Chi! A sword light pierced through the air and hit the mountain ghost king's glabella, causing ripples. The mountain ghost king was sent flying again, but this time his body was wrapped by the green light. The other end of the green light was deep into the ground, so he kept spinning in the air. More attacks appeared and landed on the mountain ghost king's body. Energy kept rumbling, and powerful auras surged. The sound spread far and wide. Some divine generals in the distance who had heard the news were shocked at the sight of this scene. A group of rank 7 was attacking in rank 8. It seemed that the rank 8 didn't have any room to fight back. Fortunately, the rank 8 had custom-made armor. Otherwise, he would have died without a doubt. Immediately, someone recognized that these people were with the young master of the Kong family. However, the young master was nowhere to be seen. At this moment, many auras came from heaven and earth. There were 2 rank 8 and a group of rank 7. They had followed the mountain ghost king here with the blood scorpion. After they arrived, they immediately charged forward. Whoosh! Seeing people coming from the other side, Monk was the first to rush out. His defense was the strongest, so he always attacked first. Boom! With a loud bang, he was sent flying. Leave no one alive! Chapter 2971. The expressions of the surrounding god generals changed. It was obvious that the other party had come to help. If that was the case, this team was in danger. After all, they were all rank 7s. Apart from the trapped rank 8s, the other party had 2 other rank 8s. They could deal with 1, but they might not be able to deal with 3 at once. Moreover, there were other rank 7s. Monk flew backward, stabilized his body, and rushed forward again. Swoosh! At the same time, Devil Ape also rushed forward. His body became extremely huge, and the custom-made armor on his body emitted a strong light. Boom! He exchanged blows with the rank 8s. There was a huge shock of energy, and a powerful wave spread in all directions. His body flew backward. There was an uproar in the distance. Although the two rank 7s did not defeat the rank 8s, they were able to face the rank 8's attacks unscathed. This was obviously very impressive. The two of them blocked the two rank 8s, and the remaining rank 7s rushed forward. Thunder and the others rushed forward, and a chaotic battle broke out instantly. At the same time, the rank 8s who were entangled by the green light successfully broke free from the green light, and the aura on his body completely erupted. Seeing that the battle was about to be one-sided, a ray of brilliance suddenly appeared. In the brilliance, there were two figures. Seeing the appearance of the two people, exclamations came from all around. The young master of the Kong family had appeared. When they came in earlier, they had all seen each other, and everyone was saluting. They did not come here to look for the Thunderstone because they were waiting for each other. Now that they had seen each other again, the scene of orderly saluting did not appear. In fact, many people were extremely indifferent. Seeing Zichen appear, Monk and the others immediately retreated. Everyone's expression relaxed. Zichen didn't ask why a fight had suddenly broken out, as it would be meaningless to do so. "You've finally appeared." Mountain Ghost King looked at Zichen and said coldly, his eyes revealing a cold, murderous intent. "You go behind." Zichen said to Kong Mo. Su Mingyao came forward and pulled him behind her. Then, Zichen looked at Mountain Ghost King and said, "Let's start with you." Mountain Ghost King was slightly stunned. He did not understand what Zichen meant. However, in the next moment, he understood. Zichen was charging toward him. "You're courting death!" The Mountain Ghost King shouted coldly. He was a rank 8. Why would he be afraid of a rank 7? In the next moment, he saw a battle armor appear on the body of the rank 7 Zichen. The patterns on the battle armor lit up, and lightning began to surge and rumble. He recognized that it was a custom-made armor, and was a little surprised. After all, it was rare for a rank 7 martial artist to have a custom-made armor. However, there were actually several people in the opposing team. However, he did not care because he was a rank 8 and had an absolute level advantage. Moreover, he also had custom-made armor. He clenched his fist and struck out. The aura of this fist surged, and it was even more powerful than Monk Po's previous strike. Zichen also clenched his fist. Boundless lightning flashed around his body and gathered in his right hand before landing on his fist. As the fist moved forward, the surrounding space began to distort. Crackling sounds rang out continuously, as if the space was about to be shattered by the lightning. As the two powerful attacks collided, the energy waves continued to surge, forming wave after wave of fluctuations that dispersed in all directions. The crowd in the distance stared ahead, watching the two of them fight. The other two rank 8 martial artists did not attack immediately. Obviously, they wanted to see Zichen's skills. In the midst of the two attacks, the lightning on Zichen's body suddenly intensified. The power of thunder surged and enveloped the Mountain Ghost King in front of him. The Mountain Ghost King let out a cry of surprise as his body flew backward. There were remnants of lightning on his body that continued to wreak havoc. Fear appeared on his face. In this confrontation, he was completely suppressed. Swoosh! Zichen stepped forward again and struck out another punch. This punch was even more terrifying than the previous one. The battle armor on the surface of his body lit up. The Mountain Ghost King shouted to block. The fist light landed on his body, and thunder exploded with a rumble. The Mountain Ghost King flew backward again, coughing up blood as he flew. The crowd was in an uproar. They did not expect a rank 7 to be suppressed by a rank 8 martial artist. Zichen charged forward for the third time. This time, he pushed the power of the custom-made armor to the limit. At the same time, the power of Thunderform was fully unleashed. Boom! As the punch landed, heaven and earth shook violently. The custom-made battle armor on the Mountain Ghost King shattered. The powerful power of thunder surged into his body, destroying his vitality. The Mountain Ghost King's body fell to the ground with a thud. His aura dissipated. He was dead. 3 punches to kill a rank 8. Such a scene shocked the crowd. They did not expect a rank 7 martial artist to be so terrifying. "Leave no one alive!" After killing the Mountain Ghost King, Zichen turned to look at the other 2 rank 8s, and said coldly. One of the rank 8s had said the same thing earlier. Now that he heard the same thing, his expression turned extremely ugly. Zichen charged toward the 2 of them. It was obvious that he wanted to fight the 2 of them alone. After Zichen attacked, everyone except Su Mengyao attacked. Their targets were the rank 7s. Devil Ape and the monk could even fight against a rank 8 martial artist earlier. Now, it was easy for them to deal with a rank 7. Devil Ape smashed down with his staff, and a rank 7 was sent flying. He moved forward in a flash. The second strike landed, and there was a rumble again. The third strike landed, and it broke the armor directly. The fourth strike killed him. Xingchen, Longhu, and the others all attacked. Their combat strength was very strong. At this moment, in a one-on-one battle, they completely suppressed their opponents. Such a scene shocked the crowd in the distance. They did not expect that those who followed the young master of the Kong family would have such powerful combat strength. When the 2 sides met, the battle continued. Rumbling sounds could be heard everywhere. At this moment, in another place, Shui Scorpion's expression was gloomy. He said coldly, "Wei Li, are you trying to stop me?" He received the news from the Mountain Ghost King and kept moving forward. He met Wei Li here. Wei Li, who was standing in front of him, said, "Why do you say that? I just feel that we haven't seen each other for a long time. We should have a good chat." Shui Scorpion snorted and said, "I have nothing to talk about with you." Wei Li said unhurriedly, "There is. For example, we can talk about the situation in Sky Road City." Shui Scorpion said, "The Yu family is the strongest in Sky Road City. Next, the Kong family will be destroyed, and so will the Alliance." Wei Li looked at Shui Scorpion and said, "Are you sure?" "Of course," Shui Scorpion said with certainty. "That's why you should get out of my way now." Wei Li said, "I'm not here to stop you. I'm just here to advise you not to be used by others and put yourself in danger." "Danger?" Shui Scorpion sneered and said, "I know what I'm doing. As for you, if you keep this attitude, don't even think about leaving." Wei Li said, "This may be an opportunity for us. I think it's better for you to stay." "That's right. I also think this is an opportunity, so they must die." After saying that, Shui Scorpion flew forward. Obviously, the 2 of them had different opinions on this matter. Wei Li shook his head and sighed. Chapter 2972. All the people Blood Scorpion brought this time were lying in a pool of blood. They were all killed. This included the 3 rank 8 martial artists. Many god generals came from afar. They did not step forward, not because they did not want to, but because they did not dare. The rank 7 martial artist in the custom-made armor had terrifying combat strength. He only needed 3 punches to defeat a rank 8. Other than that, the other rank 7 martial artists were also powerful. They did not dare to step forward. Monk was collecting the spoils of war. Whether they were useful or not, he took them all. Blood Scorpion rushed over. After seeing what happened here, he was furious. His eyes locked onto Zichen. "You did this?" He stared at Zichen, his voice cold. Zichen nodded. Blood Scorpion's figure disappeared. A blood-red light appeared in front of him, like a blood-red wave, sweeping toward him. Lightning flashed on Zichen's body. The patterns on the custom-made armor lit up. A powerful aura began to surge. Boom! The blood-red wave came close and collided with the surging lightning. In the continuous roar of energy, Zichen's body was pushed back. He was pushed back almost 100 feet before he could stabilize his body. This was his first time confronting a rank 9 martial artist. He instantly felt the difference between them. "Die!" Blood Scorpion stared at Zichen. There was only murderous intent in his eyes. His powerful aura distorted the space around him. He rushed forward again and punched again. He used all his strength in this punch. A white mark was left in the distorted space as if it was going to be shattered by the punch. Red light filled the sky like a rolling sea of blood, enveloping the surroundings. Buzz! Lightning flashed on Zichen's body. Endless thunderbolts exploded. He pushed his thunder body to the limit. The blood-red light around him dissipated instantly when it met the thunderbolts. At this moment, the power of thunderbolts and the blood-red light each occupied half of the sky. The fist radiance with lightning flashed, releasing tricolored light. It moved forward. Zichen used all his strength in this attack. Not only the power of Thunder Body, but also the power of yin-yang thunderbolts. Boom! The two attacks shook violently. Powerful energy waves spread in all directions, surging with a terrifying aura. Go to hell! The blood scorpion's eyes flashed with a sharp light, and the aura on his fist became increasingly violent. Boundless blood-red light was released. With a violent boom, Zichen's body was sent flying. When he landed on the ground, blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. There was indeed a huge gap between the 7th and 9th ranks. You damned bastard! Tyrant let out an angry roar as he charged towards the blood scorpion with the light shield in his hand. Looking at the incoming monk, a hint of mockery flashed in Shuexia's eyes. Bloody light flickered as he punched out. With a loud boom, the monk in front was sent flying backwards. There was an uproar in the quiet surroundings. The monk's defense was actually not broken. A rank 9 wearing custom-made armor, whose combat strength had reached the pinnacle of this world, was actually unable to break through the defense of a rank 7. Their gazes landed on the light shield in the monk's hand and their expressions changed. Clearly, this light shield was no ordinary object. Not bad, this thing is mine. Blood Scorpion's eyes flashed as he looked at the light shield in Tyrant's hand. You! Tyrant sneered. After a short delay, Zichen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and leaped into the air. At this moment, after truly feeling the gap between him and a rank 9, he naturally had to use his most powerful means. A black light appeared in his hand, and a black long saber appeared. At the same time, the surrounding space was distorted, and the saber domain was about to appear. Seeing this, Donder, who was in the crowd, narrowed his eyes. He guessed what Zichen was going to do. Wei Li appeared beside him and stared ahead with a complicated expression on his face. In the past, Zichen was confident that he could defeat him. 100 years later, Zichen, who had a custom-made armor, believed that his combat strength would only be stronger. The blood scorpion was in danger. Stop! Just as everyone was looking ahead nervously, a loud shout came from behind, and a powerful aura emerged between heaven and earth. Divine General Tuoming had arrived with a group of people, including many rank 8 and rank 7. Wei Li turned his head and glanced at Tuoming, who did not notice him. A faint smile appeared at the corner of Tuoming's mouth, and he turned to leave. Before leaving, he glanced at Donder, who said, "Isn't it better to wait and see?" Wei Li did not reply, but he did not insist on leaving either. "What are you doing?" Tuoming came forward with his men and said coldly to the blood scorpion, "You dare to attack the young master?" The blood scorpion looked at Tuoming and said angrily, "Which eye of yours saw me attacking the young master? Can't you see that I'm taking revenge for my men?" At this moment, the ground was littered with corpses of the blood scorpion legion. Tuoming glanced at Zichen and his men and said unyieldingly, "They are the young master's friends. Attacking them is the same as attacking the young master. What kind of bullshit logic is this? They killed our men, and I'm not allowed to take revenge?" The blood scorpion was furious. Tuoming ignored the blood scorpion and turned to Kang Mo, who was behind him, and said, "Young master, you can come with us. I promise that no one can hurt you." Clearly, Tuoming was implying that Kang Mo should leave the team. Kang Mo peeked his head out from behind Su Mengyao. His young face was filled with determination. He shook his head and said, "No, I'm not going anywhere. I want to follow Brother Zichen." At this moment, everyone knew that the powerful rank 7 was called Zichen. Tuoming glanced coldly at Zichen and said, "If you leave now, I'll guarantee your safety." Zichen smiled faintly and said, "Okay, let's go." Tuoming said coldly, "You know what I mean." Zichen turned to look at Tuoming and said, "Sorry, I don't really understand. If you want to protect your young master, then go ahead. Here, there is no young master, only Kangemo. He is our friend, not some young master." The coldness in Tuoming's eyes intensified. Zichen looked at him faintly. For a rank 7 to be able to look at a rank 9 like this, it was indeed extraordinary. "Very well, I'm starting to admire you. You can leave now," Tuoming said in the end. "No, he killed our Blood Scorpion Legion's men. How can we leave just like that?" Blood Scorpion said angrily. Tuoming replied indifferently, "If you want to fight, I can accompany you." Blood Scorpion looked at Tuoming and the people behind him. His face turned gloomy. He had suffered such a great loss, yet he did not manage to kill anyone. How could he accept this? However, it was obvious that Tuoming was also a rank 9. Naturally, he had the ability to stop him. From a certain perspective, Tuoming's combat power was even stronger than his. "Next time, you won't be so lucky," Blood Scorpion said coldly to Zichen. It was obvious that he had silently agreed to leave. At this moment, Monk suddenly said, "Wait, we can't leave yet." Everyone turned around and stared at him coldly. In an instant, many cold gazes landed on him. Chapter 2973. At this moment, Monk resisted the pressure and refused to leave. Everyone was puzzled. They thought that Monk was talking about the spoils on the ground that had not been completely collected. Obviously not. No matter how greedy Monk was, he knew his limits. The thing he was talking about was extremely precious. It was the entire Thunderstone. It was very difficult to see it from other places. It could only be seen from his previous position. Therefore, no one else had discovered it since the battle started. Monk wasn't sure if the Mountain Ghost King had seen it before, but he was already dead. It was meaningless whether he had seen it or not. "Let's go!" When Monk stepped forward, he turned to look at Zichen and transmitted his voice. "Put the others away. Follow me to get the thing." "What?" Zichen asked. Monk's expression seemed to be very solemn. "Good stuff." No matter what Monk's character was, the good stuff he mentioned was naturally extremely good. All along, this guy's taste had never been bad. Hence, Zichen's body flashed and everyone was put into the world. Then, he followed Monk forward. Under everyone's gaze, the two of them flew forward and stopped in midair. Everyone was puzzled. What did he mean by stopping? When they reached their position, Monk signaled Zichen to look up. The sky was filled with surging thunderbolts. Soon, Zichen found the thing Monk was talking about. A strange light flashed in his eyes. "Hurry up. If we are discovered, we might not be able to leave." Monk transmitted his voice nervously. Swoosh! Zichen immediately soared into the sky. The power of the thunder body was pushed to the limit. The power of thunder rumbled and shook away the other thunderbolts in the sky. Everyone subconsciously raised their heads and looked at the thunderbolts in the sky. They saw a huge thunderstone among the scattered thunderbolts. Seeing this piece of unimaginable thunderbolt rock, everyone was stunned. Buzz! The thunderstone trembled and released a powerful thunder power. Zichen exerted force with both hands and a powerful force landed on the thunderstone through his arms. Boom! The thunderbolts were violent. The thunderstone was shaken by Zichen. A black hole appeared out of thin air, and he sucked the super thunderstone into it. At this moment, when everyone saw that the thunderstones had disappeared, they recovered from their shock. With such a large piece of thunderstone, there were more than 10,000 of them. What kind of concept was over 10,000? At this moment, everyone's breathing quickened as they looked at Zichen with a different expression. Over 10,000 thunderstones were enough to trigger a bloody battle. His luck is too good. Whaley felt that it was inconceivable to obtain such a large piece of thunderstone all of a sudden. With so many thunderstones, even a rank 9 is useful. For rank 7 and rank 8, it's enough to push them to rank 9. Donda looked ahead and said, I don't think anyone will let him go now. At this moment, Donda noticed that even Tuomin was frowning because there were too many thunderstones. The eyes of the surrounding god generals immediately turned greedy. No one could ignore so many thunderstones. Go! Without hesitation, Zichen grabbed the monk and both of them disappeared. Whoosh! Just as the two of them disappeared, a sharp attack appeared behind the two of them, striking nothing but air. It was a rank 8 expert who was good at concealment and assassination. He appeared from the void. He attacked very quickly. Unfortunately, he still lost his target. His opponent ran even faster. After he appeared, he was stunned. Then, his expression turned sullen. With so many thunderstones, it was enough for him to advance to rank 9 and become the strongest expert in this region. Shwa! In the next moment, his figure disappeared again. It was unknown if he was searching for someone. Shwa's scorpion glanced at Tuomin, and the scarlet light on his body spread out. When the scarlet light disappeared, his figure also disappeared. Zichen and the monk teleported away. When they reappeared, the monk revealed an unconcealable excitement. How was it? The monk asked Zichen with an indescribable pride on his face. What do you mean, how was it? Zichen asked. Thunderstones. That peace of mind is equivalent to your harvest in a few hundred years, right? The monk said proudly. Zichen grunted and did not say anything else. After waiting for a long time and seeing that Zichen did not take any action, the monk turned his head and said unhappily, Shouldn't we be distributing the thunderstones now? Zichen, who knew what the monk meant, laughed and said, Confiscate it. You! The monk was enraged. Let's go! A wave of energy wrapped around the monk's body. When they reappeared, they were in front of a rank 8 sky thunder beast. In the air, there was a big piece of thunderstone floating. The monk looked at the big piece of thunderstone and said in disdain, It's too little. It's not even 1%. That piece of thunderstone was equivalent to more than 100 pieces. Although it was not as good as the one the monk found, it was still a rare opportunity. Of course, before that, they had to deal with the rank 8 sky thunder beast. Zichen went forward and activated his thunder constitution. The power of thunder was activated through the custom-made battle armor, and the power became stronger. His fist passed through the power of thunder and landed on the body of the sky thunder beast. Accompanied by the sound of thunder, the sky thunder beast was sent flying. The monk flew into the air to collect the thunderstone. Zichen's figure flashed and came to the side of the sky thunder beast. He punched it again. After a few punches, the sky thunder beast was killed. He kept the corpse and left it for Kong Mo to refine his battle armor. After the battle, Zichen teleported the monk to 2 more places. Each time, he found a lot of thunderstones. The monk was surprised to see Zichen not empty-handed every time. In this case, it would not be long before Zichen surpassed him in the number of thunderstones he obtained. After the battle, Zichen, who was about to collect the corpse, suddenly stopped and turned his head to look to the side. A red light appeared and a person appeared in the red light. It was the blood scorpion. After he appeared, he stared at Zichen and said coldly, Let's see who can protect you this time. Lightning flashed on Zichen's body. The monk and the sky thunder beast's corpse on the ground disappeared. A bloody light shrouded the world. The blood scorpion flew towards Zichen. Buzz! A sheathed long saber appeared in Zichen's hand. The surrounding space was distorted and the saber territory was formed. He held the long saber and slashed down. During the slash, 8 saber intents surrounded him. In the territory, the long saber's power became stronger. There was a roar and the saber light shattered. The blood scorpion and Zichen retreated at the same time. Licking his scarlet lips, the blood scorpion said coldly, You're not weak. Unfortunately, you can't kill me. Buzz! The territory shook again. The 8 saber ancestors' steels released 8 saber intents. At the same time, a vortex appeared in the void. Rule power descended from the sky and landed on the blood scorpion, weakening his aura. This battle took place within the domain and lasted for a full hour. Chapter 2974. The people outside could see the battle and the territory clearly. Both Zichen and Blood Scorpion displayed their powerful techniques. It could even be said that they displayed their desperate techniques. In the end, Zichen paid a huge price for armor penetration and killed rank 9 Blood Scorpion. This scene shocked the people watching the battle from the outside. However, they did not feel fear, nor did they run away. Their eyes even showed excitement. This was because Zichen's custom-made armor was also broken in this battle, losing its function. At the same time, after he killed a rank 7 who was 2 ranks higher than him, Zichen was also seriously injured. There was an additional hole in his chest. The hole was surrounded by thunder force, temporarily controlling the injury. There was no trace of blood on his face. His aura had also become very weak. The battle earlier had lasted for a long time, enough to attract many people. Zichen, who had emerged from the territory, swept his gaze across the field. There were rank 7s and rank 8s, but no rank 9s. This was obviously not a coincidence, much less luck. Rank 9s were like orioles, waiting patiently. "Are you treating me like prey?" Zichen licked his lips. His expression was indescribably cold. A flash of lightning flew past, sweeping up the corpse of the Blood Scorpion Legion commander, Blood Scorpion, and flying back. From today onwards, the Blood Scorpion Legion had no Legion commander. Regardless of whether the others could leave this territory in the future and enter another, vaster territory, it was obvious that he could not go. There was murderous intent all around. It was the rank 7s and rank 8s who were watching the battle, flying toward this side. A strong pressure surged between heaven and earth. The murderous intent was like sharp blades materialized, appearing in all directions around Zichen. Zichen looked up at the sky. His gaze became even colder. The space around him was like boiling water, boiling and distorting. An oppressive aura emerged from his body. The god generals who were charging forward stopped one after another. Their faces were full of shock and uncertainty. Zichen could kill the rank 9 Blood Scorpion. Naturally, his combat strength was extremely strong. Even if he was in a severely injured state now, if he fought with his life on the line, he believed that he could kill some people. Thus, everyone hesitated and paused for a moment. At this moment, Zichen pulled out the saber in his hand. However, he did not slash in any direction. Instead, he used the tip of the saber to stab into the void in front of him. The tip of the blade pierced into the void, and his world began to tremble. The power of the world twisted crazily, and a ripple appeared. When the ripples fell, a black circle appeared and spread out in all directions. This was the spatial rending kill. Zichen hadn't used it in a long time. The black cracks spread in all directions and swept past the bodies of the divine generals. This was the result of Zichen using the power of the world. 2 different spaces were being cut apart, which was different from the real spatial rend. The cracks contained the power of the rules, and some of the divine generals were unable to resist the rules, and their bodies were directly separated from the middle. Wherever the crack passed, a black line streaked across the bodies of the divine generals in the distance, forcefully separating many of them. Cries of alarm sounded from all around. Even more people retreated in fear. They had never seen such a move before. It was truly too terrifying. Zichen looked at the panicked crowd around him, turned around, and flew forward. Lightning erupted from his weak body once again, surging and surging violently. The divine generals near him who were lucky enough not to die retreated in fear. Whoosh! Zichen moved forward rapidly. During this time, lightning flashed on his back, and the 12-winged heavenly thunder wings appeared. At this time, he didn't use the world teleport. It wasn't that Zichen didn't want to, but this space was sealed by some kind of divine ability, and he couldn't teleport away. After using the heavenly thunder wings, his speed was extremely fast, and he flew toward the horizon. Boom! In the void, a powerful aura spread out, and a rank 9 appeared in front of Zichen. Zichen changed direction without hesitation, and used the extreme speed of the heavenly thunderwings. Even a rank 9 couldn't catch up with him. Of course, before this, he had to ensure that his injuries wouldn't act up again. When he flew again, a second rank 9 appeared. This was a strong man wearing custom-made armor, and he stared at him with a cold expression. Zichen changed direction for the third time. At this moment, he could guess that he was surrounded by rank 9, but he wanted to see which rank 9 they were. The third rank 9 appeared. This was a tall and thin man with a somewhat gloomy face. He held a divine sword tightly in his hand, and the aura of the divine sword and the custom-made armor merged into one. He was still some distance away, but he could already sense the strength of the other party. The other party looked at him, and a cold smile flashed in his eyes, and he raised a long sword in his hand. A sharp sword light pierced through Zichen's body at an incredible speed. Zichen's body disappeared into thin air, as if only an afterimage was pierced through. Zichen's figure appeared in the distance, and at the same time, a bloody line appeared. This bloody line was on his right shoulder, and it had been completely pierced through. His dodging speed was extremely fast, but the other party's attacking speed was even faster. The man holding the sword snorted coldly, and watched Zichen leave. Zichen continued to change direction, and met the fourth person. Then he changed direction again, and met again. He met a total of 8 rank 9s, and they were guarding 8 directions. After they appeared, they closed in on the front. In the distance, the rank 7s and rank 8s were in a chaotic battle, snatching the bodies of those who were killed by the sky-splitting slash. As for Zichen, they no longer paid attention to him. The 8 rank 9s closed in, and Zichen stood in the center, the 12-winged heavenly thunder wings spinning behind him. His gaze swept across the 8 of them, and he said in a low voice, "Zichen will remember today's kindness, and repay it in double in the future." "There won't be any future," the man holding the sword said coldly. "Today, you can't leave here alive." The other people's expressions were cold. Although they did not speak, their meaning was very clear. At this moment, a voice came into Zichen's consciousness. Zichen's expression was slightly stunned, and then he shook his head. No one knew why he suddenly shook his head. Far away, Wei Li turned and left. There was a smile on his face, and he was very carefree. Before he left, he glanced to the side, and there was nothing there. "I'm really looking forward to it." Wei Li left very decisively, and he did not think that Zichen shook his head just to be polite in the midst of danger. After he left, Zichen, who was surrounded by 8 rank 9s, disappeared. Teleportation? The 8 rank 9s were slightly stunned. They turned their heads and looked around, but they could not see anyone. "It can't be teleportation. The space here is sealed, and no one can teleport away," a voice sounded in the rank 8's consciousness. However, if it was not teleportation, where did Zichen go? Immediately after, a few attacks landed in front, covering the place where Zichen was originally standing with indiscriminate attacks. The space there was constantly distorted, as if it was going to be pierced with countless holes. After that, these attacks began to expand, and then continued to spread until they reached the place where they were standing, but there was nothing. Zichen seemed to have really teleported away, ignoring the space seal. These rank 9s did not understand, but they could only give up and turn to leave. After leaving, they turned back again, and repeated this 3 times, but they still could not see Zichen's shadow. Chapter 2975. The surrounding space was sealed. If Zichen used teleportation to leave, he would be sensed by others. He didn't run away. He hid not far from where he stood before. The place he hid in was a world. The world didn't distinguish the level of the physical body. Everyone was at the 9th level of the Divine General, so no one could find Zichen when he hid in the world. As for the indiscriminate attacks of the 9th level physical body, they couldn't break through his world. He didn't hide immediately at the beginning because he wanted to see which 9th level physical body wanted to kill him. This way, he would know what to do. After killing Blood Scorpion, he was seriously injured. He was sitting cross-legged in the world now. Monk and the others walked over. There was no worry on their faces. Instead, they were smiling. This world was full of vitality, which meant that Zichen's vitality was also very strong. Nothing would happen to him. How was it? Monk looked at Zichen. Zichen said, I was a little careless. I barely killed Blood Scorpion with the help of the armor. If it was the last battle, I might not have been Wei Li's match. Seeing the armor that he had painstakingly refined being destroyed, Kang Mo didn't feel depressed at all. Instead, he said with a smile, coincidentally, I have the materials to refine the Thunder Beast. The armor I refine next will definitely be stronger than before. Zichen's body glowed. The rules of the world were healing him. He looked back at Kang Mo and said, refine the armor for everyone first. It doesn't matter if one person is strong. Only when everyone in the team is strong can it be considered strong. Monk nodded and said in agreement, that's right. Refine one for me first. Zichen said with a smile. These people don't include Monk. The others laughed when they heard that. Monk was very depressed. Although he had a strong defense, he did look cool wearing the armor. Su Mengyao looked at Zichen, who was weak and had many wounds on his body. She couldn't bear it and said, let's heal first. Zichen nodded and said, we won't go anywhere. We'll refine the Thunderstone here until we break through again. What if this area closes? Su Mengyao asked worriedly. Then let's wait until it closes before we go out, Zichen said after thinking for a moment. The monk at the side said, if that's the case, won't our losses be huge? The monk's so-called loss was that he could no longer collect Thunderstones. Zichen chuckled. We won't. There are 9 rank 9s helping us collect them. We'll just ask them for them when we leave. That would be great. The monk laughed. 9 ninth grade martial artists. Just the thought of it made him feel generous. Next, Zichen used his rule power to separate the entire Thunderstone into tens of thousands of small pieces and place them there. These Thunderstones were shared with everyone. As long as they finished refining them, they could get a new one. During this time, Martin and Lunk sighed. They had been in the Divine Legion for so many years, and their progress had been extremely slow. Who would have thought that after following Zichen, their progress would become so rapid? The Thunderstones that he didn't even dare to think about before were now an unlimited supply until he broke through. They were already at the 7th rank. If they took one more step, they would be at the 8th rank. The realm that was once out of reach was now within reach. While everyone was cultivating, Kang Mo wasn't idle either. He began to refine armors for the others. What he needed to improve his level was proficiency. The faster he refined armors, the faster his level would improve. Zichen took out a piece of Thunderstone and started refining it. Streaks of lightning energy entered his body and was then absorbed by the Thunder physique, turning into his own energy. Everyone had reached the 9th rank of Divine General. The speed of their energy growth was already very slow. At this time, they were all polishing their bodies. Next, Zichen really didn't plan to leave this world. He began to refine the Thunderstones endlessly. Fortunately, they had plenty of Thunderstones to use. Kang Mo occupied a space by himself and opened up his own refining domain. There were all kinds of weapons and armors here. Some of these weapons were refined, while some were naturally evolved. It was very magical. He was refining a set of armor for Lei Ting. He seemed to be very focused. Lei Ting, Xingqian, Brilliant, and Bright Moon were surrounded by lightning. Lei Ting's progress was the fastest. Monk and the others didn't idle for a moment. They refined the Thunderstones one by one. The first year had just passed. After careful consideration, Zichen let his avatar leave this world. Before leaving, his avatar changed his appearance. His aura was completely different from his real body. Naturally, he didn't have to worry about being recognized. He could go out and gather information. Secondly, he could get some Thunderstones. The reason why he let his avatar go out was because Zichen realized that his speed of refining the Thunderstones was too fast. His improvement wasn't as obvious as the others. If he didn't prepare in advance, he might run out of Thunderstones before he could break through. When his avatar left, he wore armor and carried a matching long spear. He also carried a stone saber to prevent danger from happening. However, as long as he didn't provoke a 9th rank, with his avatar's ability, he wouldn't be in danger. Even if he encountered a 9th rank, his avatar wouldn't be afraid if he exchanged his life for his. Time passed. In a flash, 10 years had passed. During these 10 years, his avatar came back once and brought back thousands of Thunderstones. This harvest was really shocking. However, in these 10 years, Zichen's consumption was equally shocking. He had used up more than half of the Thunderstones that they had obtained. During this period, the total consumption of everyone was less than Zichen's. The second 10 years came quickly. His avatar came back again. This time, his avatar was obviously injured. However, his harvest was even greater. Zichen asked his avatar what he encountered. His avatar smiled and said, "Killing and robbing." His avatar's personality came from his real body. Naturally, he wouldn't rob for no reason. Usually, it was him who was targeted because he had a great harvest and was only at level 7. However, those who wanted to rob him of his Thunderstones would be robbed by him instead. He killed some of them and let some of them go. Of course, he wouldn't let them go openly. He would accidentally let them run away. These people thought that his avatar was nothing special. After he ran away, they would gather others to surround him and kill him again before running away again. It was like harvesting chives. Once harvested, it would take 10 years. When Zichen heard about his avatar's experience, he smiled and gave him great encouragement. In the third 10 years, his avatar had been harvesting chives all the time. This time, he brought back more than 10,000 Thunderstones. Among them, more than 70% were looted. The fourth 10 years had not come yet. In Zichen's world, a powerful aura suddenly emerged. This aura affected the world. Winds rolled and clouds moved. Surging vitality surged. Lightning flashed on Zichen's body. He released a powerful aura. Chapter 2976. The last time he obtained the Thunder Body, Zichen already had a rank 7 physical body. It took him more than 100 years to go from rank 7 to rank 8. During this time, in addition to refining many inner cores, he also refined Thunderstones for several decades. The consumption was huge. Of course, the increase in his combat strength was also significant. He was much more powerful than a rank 7 armor. At the same time, he was only one step away from the strongest rank 9 physical body in this world. It was just that this consumption was a little too touching. He did not dare to refine Thunderstones anymore, for fear that others would not have enough to break through. After his physical body broke through to rank 8, Zichen did not leave the world immediately. Instead, he walked into the depths of the world. The others were still quietly refining Thunderstones, so Zichen did not disturb them. After coming to this world, due to the various armors, many techniques could not unleash their full power. For example, Zichen's space-splitting slash could easily kill those of the same level in the outside world. Those who could reach this place were all level 9 divine generals, so everyone was definitely of the same level. If they were in the outside world, Zichen's space-splitting slash could almost wipe them all out. However, it was not possible here. With those custom-made armors, the space-splitting slash's power was greatly reduced. Now that he had reached rank 8 and came to the depths of the world, he wanted to spend some time to comprehend his own combat skills so that he could have a stronger armor-piercing power. For example, he could easily break through custom-made armors. In this world, breaking through armor was the key. If he could break through armor, he could naturally kill people. His space-splitting slash was a large-scale attack method that could kill a circle of enemies. As a result, its power would obviously be reduced by a lot. At this time, He was thinking about how to land the space-splitting slash attack on a single point. The space-splitting slash was a space-cutting technique. If it landed on a single point, its power would naturally be stronger. A light flashed in his hand, and a sheathed long saber appeared. He unsheathed the saber, and a saber light flew into the distance. This was an ordinary saber move. Zichen was strong enough to display it in this realm. The long saber returned to its sheath, and Zichen's right hand landed on the sheath. Thunder force surged on his body. This time, in addition to energy, there were rules lingering around him. Those rules were related to space. He exerted force with his right hand, and the long saber was unsheathed again. Space rules lingered on the blade, and he slashed forward. Looking at the incoming blade, Zichen shook his head. The power of this saber strike was not weak because of his own strength. It had nothing to do with the power of space. On the contrary, those spatial techniques were not fully displayed. Zichen drew his sword again and again, adjusting his rule force after each attack. He stood there, and the spatial rules of the world surrounded his body. The power of yin and yang, as well as the power of the lightning body, circled around his body. He held the saber hilt, and pulled it out again. Saber will circled around the blade. This was his strongest move. During this period, he did not use the spatial regulations. If he used it, its might would instead weaken because the two could not effectively fuse. As the long saber returned to its scabbard, a black spatial crack appeared, drawing a circle and extending in all directions. This was space rending slash, a large-scale killing technique. What Zichen wanted to do was to add the power of the two together and merge it into one move. Obviously, this was difficult. Zichen now needed to find a point of convergence. He used these two attacks again and again to see if he could find a place where they were compatible. Just like that, another few years passed. Another 10 years passed, and the deity's clone did not return. The clone returned once every 10 years. Occasionally it would be late, but Zichen did not mind. 2 years later, the clone still had not returned. Zichen frowned. In this area with thunderstones, deity's energies surged wildly between heaven and earth, and all kinds of powerful attacks appeared. Occasionally, an energy divine beast wrapped in divine light would fly into the sky and explode in the void. Sometimes, a sharp sword light would soar into the sky. Many attacks appeared between heaven and earth, and rumbling sounds could be heard continuously. The ones who attacked were a group of divine generals. Most of them were at the 8th stage, with some at the 7th stage. There was not a single 9th stage. They gathered together, their faces filled with anger, and their bodies surged with killing intent. "Stop! This time, you will definitely die! How many years has it been? We finally found him again! We can't let him go!" They roared angrily, staring coldly in front of them. In front of them, a 7th divine general was running away. The upper-grade armor on his body was tattered, and had lost its luster and effectiveness. There were several holes in his body, and divine blood was spilling out. This was the clone that had been away for decades. He did not return for the past 10 years because he was targeted. Not just one or two, or a group, but a large group of divine generals. Obviously, in these decades, his reputation had spread far and wide, so much so that he had provoked public anger. Many rank 9s disdained to attack a 7th stage like him, but rank 8s did not care about that. What they cared about was the thunderstones. As long as they had thunderstones, they did not mind bullying a 7th stage. However, as they attacked, they realized that this 7th stage was stronger than they had imagined. He had robbed rank 8s directly. Therefore, more and more rank 8s were robbed. In the end, they formed an alliance and decided to attack this 7th stage together. Because the other party had been robbing for decades, he had obtained countless thunderstones. Naturally, they coveted them and wanted to rob him. After every battle, the other party ran away again and again. His vitality was stronger than they had imagined. Now, his armor was broken, and he was injured, but his speed was still so fast. However, a 8th stage divine general showed a smile on his face. After so many years of being hunted, they already had experience. Naturally, they knew what to do. In other directions, other rank 8s appeared. Their speed was extremely fast, and they surrounded the clone. Everyone had a satisfied smile on their faces. After decades, they finally surrounded him. The other party seemed to know what his fate was. Instead, he stopped running and stopped just like that. The long spear in his hand was full of cracks. It was obviously on the verge of exploding. Run? Why aren't you running? A 8th stage stepped forward, stared at the 7th stage Divine General, and said coldly. The clone looked at the 8th stage Divine General and smiled. He said, I'm not running. I'm waiting for you. That's because you can't run. The 8th stage Divine General said coldly. At this moment, the others around him also stepped forward. Those who walked in front were all rank 8s. Their bodies were surging with undisguised murderous intent. Run! We'll watch you run! Another 8th stage Divine General said coldly. The clone shook his head and said sincerely, I'm not running. Thank you for sending me thunderstones. Most of you are unfamiliar faces. I believe you have many thunderstones on you, right? When the rank 8s heard this, they were amused. This guy was seriously injured and was about to die. How dare he boast so shamelessly? Chapter 2977. The one who walked out of the vortex was Zichin. Naturally, it was also his real body. Although the doppelganger had its own thoughts, their souls were inseparable. When this connection was needed, the doppelganger would initiate contact. In the doppelganger's current state, it would undoubtedly be very difficult for him to kill these people. Hence, he summoned his real body. Zichin appeared. After seeing so many people around him, he was slightly startled. Then, a smile appeared on his face. He said, Not bad! Those rank 8s who were about to charge forward stopped at this moment. They looked at Zichin in surprise. Who are you? Someone asked in a low voice. Not everyone knew Zichin. There were many people who came here this time. Some came after hearing the news. They had nothing to do with the alliance. Zichin looked at these god generals and said with a smile, Who I am is not important. What's important is that you have to take out all the thunderstones you have. Remember, all of them. You. The rank 8s who spoke did not know Zichin. A cold light flashed in his eyes. He charged toward Zichin. Seeing the other party charging toward him, Zichin stretched out his finger and drew a line in front of him. This line was very light, like a casual attack. A ray of golden light flew out from his fingertip and flew forward. In front of the golden light, there was a black crack. The two were very close to each other, but they did not completely merge. In these 2 years, Zichin had not completely comprehended this move. Whether it was the black crack or the golden light, they were both very fast. During this time, they brought along a strong pressure and arrived in front of the rank 8s. The rank 8's expression changed. Divine light surrounded his body. He switched from offense to defense. A god's light shield appeared on the surface of the armor. The black crack hit the armor. The armor's defense was broken in the distortion. The crack swept past the armor. A deep mark appeared on the armor, but it was not broken. Just as this rank 8's retreated in fear, the golden light that followed swept past his body. Poof! Divine blood splattered. This rank 8's body was separated, and his soul was destroyed. The other rank 8s who wanted to attack all stopped at this moment. They kept quiet out of fear. Their faces were full of fear. Killing a rank 8 with a casual blow, what kind of combat strength was this? Obviously, the people who had intended to make a move earlier didn't know Zichin. For those who knew Zichin, they were so scared that they didn't dare to move. A few decades ago, when the other party was still a rank 7, he could easily kill a rank 8. He even killed a rank 9. Faced with the pursuit of several rank 9s, he escaped easily. It was simply a pipe dream for these people to want to kill him. Zichin looked at these people and said indifferently, I don't want to kill anymore. Take out all the thunderstones. Those divine generals who already knew of Zichen's strength immediately took out their thunderstones and placed them in the void without hesitation. After that, they quickly retreated. After retreating several hundred meters, they turned around and fled in fear, worried that Zichen would suddenly change his mind. Those who didn't know Zichen immediately put down their thunderstones, turned around, and ran away. It was unknown if they had heard the sound transmissions from others. In a short while, there were only thunderstones left. Everyone retreated far away in fear. Also, tell those rank 9s that I'm back. Ask them to wait at the exit. All the grudges will be settled there. Zichen's voice traveled far away. After those rank 8s and rank 7s heard it, they were shocked and ran even faster. Swoosh! Zichen waved his big sleeves. The tens of thousands of thunderstones floating around were all taken away. After that, he disappeared with his clone. In the world, Zichen and his clone appeared at the same time. Zichen looked at his clone and said, "You raise your realm first. Leave everything else to me." His clone had served everyone for decades and brought back many thunderstones. Now that he had broken through, it was naturally his turn to serve everyone. Compared to his clone, he had a greater advantage. The others were still cultivating. Zichen left the world. He expanded his spiritual senses and began to search for thunderstones. Although too many thunderstones had been discovered over the years, there were still some here. Many people who had been here before realized that the harvest this time was much greater than before, but they didn't know the reason. Swoosh! Zichen's figure disappeared from where he was. When he appeared again, he found the thunderstones. There were dozens of them, hidden in the thunderbolts above. Since discovering the big thunderstones last time, Zichen intentionally sent his clone to the upper layer of the thunderbolts to look for them. All these years, his clone had gained a lot. However, the thunderbolts here were relatively terrifying. No one could stay here for too long. Moreover, divine telekinesis couldn't be expanded. Zichen came to the thunderbolts. Then, he kept flying up. The thunderbolt force surging around him was getting more and more terrifying. There was only thunderbolts in front of him. Other than that, he couldn't see anything else. When the others arrived here, they were like headless flies. They couldn't even see the thunderstones several feet away. The range of vision was less than 10 feet. Zichen's spiritual senses were not hindered here. He could easily discover the thunderstones nearby. At the same time, the thunderbolt force here was very strong. Zichen realized that he could use it to cultivate his body. This discovery surprised him. He was worried that if he absorbed too many thunderstones, there wouldn't be enough for others. That was why Zichen chose to come here. He didn't expect that the thunderbolt force here was also very rich. The effect was only slightly worse than the thunderstones. Zichen continued to fly up. His body formed a vortex, absorbing the thunderbolts around him. The higher he went, the more terrifying the thunderbolts were. Slowly, even with Zichen's body, he felt pain. At this moment, he stopped and didn't continue to go up. Near him, there were many thunderstones. He couldn't see them with his eyes. With his spiritual senses, there were more than 100 of them. He started to move forward in a straight line. When he was collecting the thunderstones, he was also absorbing the thunderbolt force around him to strengthen his body. Even if he wasn't robbing, his harvest was great. His body that had just broken through to rank 8 not only stabilized, but also became stronger. Tuoming listened to his subordinate's report. His eyes flashed. He really appeared? Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. He killed a rank 8 easily. It seems that he has advanced, said a rank 8 standing beside Tuoming. After disappearing for so long, he finally appeared again. I thought he would continue to hide. When we left, he told those rank 9s to wait. All the grudges will be settled at the exit. Hearing what the rank 8 said, Tuoming laughed coldly. Back then, there were many rank 9s who chased after him. Even if he has the ability to kill a rank 9, it's impossible for him to deal with those rank 9s who joined forces. Although I underestimated him previously, he's obviously arrogant now. However, we don't have to care about him. It's best if he's dead. We can bring young Lord back. A rank 8 asked. Should we go look for young Lord now? Not for now. They'll show up sooner or later. At the same time, the other rank 9s also heard the news that Zichen had appeared again after a few decades. Their choice was different from Tuoming's. They sent people to search for him. However, Zichen seemed to have disappeared again. There was no trace of him at all. No one knew that he was above the thunderbolts, looking for thunderstones and using the thunderbolts to cultivate. Chapter 2978. Amidst the thunderbolts, the rumbling continued. Zichen advanced in the thunderbolts. This was a place that not even a rank 9 dared to step into, but he was unimpeded. He even used the thunderbolts to train his physique. His body absorbed the thunderbolts around him. After they entered his body, they were transformed by the thunder physique. Within the range of his spiritual senses, thunderbolts appeared one after another. There were so many of them that he could not collect them all. It could be said that the thunderbolts below all fell from here. Only a very small portion of them. This was the real land of opportunity. However, he could not use energy or his doppelganger to collect them. Because once the energy left his body, it would be shattered by the surrounding thunderbolts. It was the same for his doppelganger. It would disappear as soon as it appeared. The thunderbolts here had reached an unimaginable level. Even those rank 9 wearing custom-made armor would not dare to come here. If the next battle were to be fought here, then Zichen believed that no one would be his opponent. He would not even need to spend too much effort to kill everyone. This was his home ground. He was invincible. He tried to open up the world to collect the thunderbolts. Then, he realized that once the thunderbolts here reached the world space, they would be gathered and weakened. He wanted to collect thunderbolts for future battles, but it was completely impossible. Just like that, he stayed in this area for a few months. He had gained a lot. On this day, Zichen continued to move forward. His expression changed slightly. In his spiritual senses, a huge rock appeared in front of him. This huge rock was naturally a thunderbolt rock. Its size was bigger than the one monk saw last time. In front of this huge thunderbolt rock, there were many other thunderbolt rocks of different sizes. This was a really big gang. Zichen did not stop. He flew straight ahead. After flying for more than 10 feet, his body stopped again. This was because he sensed a strong aura. This aura came from the side. He turned his head and looked to the side. Other than the thunderbolts, he could not see anything else. At this moment, his pupils shrank. The thunderbolts on his body surged. He used speed and dodged to the side. The thunderbolts in front began to roll like clouds. A huge thunderbolt creature rushed out. Thunder rumbled, and a terrifying aura surged, bringing with it a deafening roar. It was a heavenly thunder beast, which looked like a giant dragon. It was hundreds of feet long, and had a single horn on its head. Its body was filled with the terrifying power of thunder. The thunderbolts here were enough to stop many rank 9s in their tracks. For the other party to be able to appear here, it was naturally a heavenly thunder beast that was stronger than ordinary rank 9s. After missing its attack, the thunder flood dragon turned around and stared coldly at Zichen with its thunderous eyes. As it breathed, the surrounding lightning began to gather and decrease as it was absorbed into its body. Zichen was shocked in his heart. He did not expect to meet a heavenly thunder beast here. Moreover, it was so powerful. However, he was not afraid. Lightning flashed on his body as he activated his lightning body and punched forward. Boom! With a loud rumble, the power of thunder spread out, and Zichen's body was knocked back. Opposite him, the thunder flood dragon was also knocked back by the punch, but it was not injured. The thunder flood dragon was enraged. It let out a roar and brought along endless lightning as it rushed towards Zichen. Thunder rumbled, and the surrounding lightning began to wreak havoc. Zichen clenched his fist again. 3 types of energy surged on his body as he used all his strength. As the punch landed, the void shook again, and an even stronger explosion spread out. The roar resounded above. During this time, when god generals passed by below, they would subconsciously look up and then leave in a hurry. They did not think that there were people fighting above. It was most likely that the lightning was raging. Perhaps there would be terrifying lightning falling at any time. Zichen fought with the Thunder Flood Dragon above. Even though he had broken through to rank 8 and had lightning body, he still found it difficult to fight at this moment. His body was knocked back. A long saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed at the Thunder Flood Dragon. The saber slashed forward, leaving a black crack in its path. Wherever it passed, the surging lightning was split into two by the black crack. Poof! The black crack landed on the Thunder Flood Dragon's body, shattering several scales. Blood splattered everywhere. The blood that spurted out from the shattered scales dissipated when it came into contact with the lightning. It could not fall below at all. Zichen slashed again and again with his saber. More terrifying lightning rolled. He was knocked back again and again, and the chi and blood in his body were surging. It was still very difficult to deal with such an existence. However, Zichen could use it to practice his armor-piercing combat skill. This battle lasted for a total of 6 hours and ended with the death of the Thunder Flood Dragon. At this time, the scales on its body were broken in many places, and there were many shocking wounds on its huge body. After collecting the Thunder Flood Dragon's body, Zichen flew forward and collected all the Thunderstones here. During this time, he naturally would not let go of the large Thunderstone. When the Thunder Flood Dragon's body and the large Thunderstone fell in Zichen's world, the roar woke many people up. After seeing what was in front of them, they were extremely shocked. At this time, with Zichen's help, they did not have to worry about not having enough Thunderstones. They refined them without hesitation and were getting closer and closer to rank 8. Zichen continued forward. 3 days later, he encountered another heavenly thunder beast. This time, it was not a Thunder Flood Dragon but another species. Its realm was also equivalent to rank 9. Zichen directly drew his saber and fought with the power of space. A year passed in a flash, and no one could find Zichen. In the team, Roy broke through to rank 8, followed by the others. With the endless supply of Thunderstones, everyone's breakthrough speed was naturally very fast. Zichen's understanding of the cooperation between the space-rending kill and the saber had also improved a lot. In the blink of an eye, another 2 years passed. All the divine generals who came here felt very strange because according to the past, this area should have been closed long ago. This time, not only did everyone gain a lot, but this space also did not close for a long time. In front of Zichen, another Thunder Flood Dragon appeared. The Thunder Flood Dragon carried the surrounding thunderbolts and rushed toward him. Zichen stood silently. He held the saber in his hand tightly and slashed. The shining saber light swept toward the Thunder Flood Dragon. Outside the saber light, there was a black line that completely covered the blade. After several years of actual combat, he finally achieved the fusion of the two. This move was called the Space-Rending Saber. Puff! The saber light swept past and the Thunder Flood Dragon's head was separated from its body. A black crack appeared and blood gushed out. On its huge body, the terrifying aura dissipated in an instant. One hit, one kill. After collecting the corpse and the large thunderstone not far away, Zichen returned to his world. He had made great progress in these years, and so did everyone. At this moment, in the team, including everyone had broken through to rank 8. Chapter 2979. He knew that the exit was about to appear because the space here had become very unstable. During this time, Zichen's spiritual thoughts could also hear the discussions of the passing immortal generals. Powerful auras surged in his world. Everyone was in a good mood after the breakthrough. Before coming here, most of them were rank 6. They did not expect that they could grow to this level in just a few decades. Martin and Lunk were very emotional. They had been in the army for thousands of years, but they could not compare to the short 100 years they had followed Zichen. It's time to go. Zichen looked at everyone. Yes, it's time to go. The others were very excited. Leaving here would not delay their cultivation because there were many thunderstones here. In the past few decades, Zichen's combat strength had increased tremendously, and he had also obtained a large number of thunderstones. The number was very impressive. During this time, there were more than a dozen large pieces, and each piece was much larger than the one monk had found. With a flash of brilliance, everyone appeared in the world and walked toward the exit. Over the years, Kang Mo had successfully refined 2 sets of armor. One was for Thunderbolt, and the other was for Xingqian. His rank was equivalent to a rank 7 warlord, which was an increase of 1 level. As they walked toward the exit, Su Mengyao looked at Zichen and asked, "Have you decided?" Last time, Zichen told Su Mengyao about Kang Mo. At that time, he had not decided what to do. Zichen nodded and said, "No matter what, we should save Kang Mo's father. Moreover, this matter is related to whether we can leave or not. We have to get involved." Since Kang Mo could refine armor, he had been refining armor for everyone. In everyone's eyes, Kang Mo was like their younger brother. Now that the Alliance wanted to use Kang Mo, they naturally could not sit back and do nothing. Su Mengyao nodded gently and asked, "What do you plan to do?" "Starting from the exit, we will clear all obstacles." As the group of people flew towards the exit, other people appeared as well. When they saw Zichen's group, their expressions changed. This team had been hidden for many years and seemed to have disappeared into thin air. They did not expect to reappear, and all of them were rank 8 warlords. These people quickly left. Obviously, they did not dare to provoke them. At the same time, they were worried that these people would rob them. "Hey, stop!" Tyrant shouted at a team in the distance, and flew towards them. Naturally, it was impossible for the group to stop. After hearing the monk's voice, they ran even faster and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Zichen's team was naturally famous here. There was almost no one who did not know them. News of their appearance quickly spread. However, this time, the rank 9 experts who had been looking for them for a long time did not attack them directly. Instead, they waited patiently at the exit. There was only one exit in this lightning space, and it appeared randomly. There was no fixed location. This time, the passageway appeared much later. Everyone's harvest was unprecedentedly great, provided that some people were not robbed. Divine General Tuoming had arrived early and brought many people with him to guard the passageway. Clearly, if the young master did not come, no one would be able to leave. The other people who came to this place all stopped and waited patiently in the distance. Some people knew that a great battle was about to break out. Whether or not Kang Mo could leave this place alive and become the high and mighty young master would depend on the result of this battle. They believed that this battle would be shocking enough. At the very least, a group of people would die. Kang Mo brought many people with him. Although each of them had top-notch fighting strength, there were more experts here. Donder and Wei Li came. Behind them stood the people they brought with them this time. They did not suffer any losses. Donder looked at the people of Blood Scorpion in the distance, and said in surprise, "Only a few of them left?" Wei Li said, "It's not bad. Those people are smart." Donder's realm had reached the rank 9, and his fighting strength had reached the peak in this world. However, this peak was only relative to other realms. It was not absolute. Otherwise, the rank 9 Blood Scorpion would not have died. Wei Li looked at the other rank 9 experts in front of him, and said in a low voice, "Whether we can see the future or not, Blood Scorpion can no longer see it. They can't either." Wei Li's confidence in Zichen could be seen from his words. "Should we take action?" Donder asked. "If he asks, we'll definitely take action," Wei Li said. "Since we've chosen different paths, we should walk together. What's the point of watching from the side?" Just as the two of them were talking, a group of people appeared in the distance. The arrival of this group of people caused a small disturbance. Many people's eyes fell on Kang Mo. As the young master, everyone had to be respectful to him. However, this was on the premise that he could leave the passage alive. Although To Min could help him, he was only one person. Then, everyone's eyes fell on Zichen. He was also the key this time. Their progress is really fast. Everyone has reached the rank 8. Looking at Zichen's group, Donda was a little surprised. Those two used to be members of our corps, right? Wei Li's eyes fell on Martin and Lunk. Yes. I didn't expect them to break through too. It seems that Zichen has obtained a lot of thunderstones these years. Donda nodded and said. Right now, everyone's attention was on Zichen's group. No one saluted Kang Mo. Before he went out, he was just a seemingly immature teenager. Only when he left alive would he be the real young master. 2 people appeared in front of him. They were 2 rank 9s. They blocked Zichen's path. Zichen's figure did not stop, and he walked straight ahead. Behind him, Su Mengyao and the others stopped. Obviously, they would not participate in the battle between Zichen and the rank 9s. When he was 1,000 feet away from the 2 rank 9s, Zichen stopped. He looked at them and said, Only 2? Are the others scared to death? Or do they want to change their stance? That's impossible. I've already memorized their faces. This time, they'll die. Shameless boasting! A cold voice came from the side. 2 more people walked out. Zichen shook his head and said, Only 4. Not enough. 2 more people appeared on the right. Zichen still shook his head. The last 2 people appeared at the back. Then, the 8 of them spread out and surrounded Zichen. This scene was exactly the same as decades ago. The only difference was that Zichen was no longer injured and had advanced to rank 8. Looking at the 8 people, Zichen smiled and said, Enough. At this moment, Wei Li in the distance said, Zichen, do you need help? There was an uproar all around. Obviously, Wei Li's words at this time were to express his attitude. Tuomin in the distance still did not speak. No one knew what he was thinking at this time. Zichen looked up at the sky. Thunder and lightning covered the top, raging at the top. He shook his head slowly and said, No need. This is my home ground. Chapter 2980. No one knew what Zichen meant. Home ground? His home ground? Everyone was slightly stunned. They didn't understand, so they didn't care. They found their own positions. Apart from Tuoming's men who didn't move, the divine generals who showed their stance as spectators retreated into the distance immediately. The other divine generals flew toward Monk's group. They were either rank 8 or rank 7. The rank 9 were all surrounding Zichen. The battlefield was divided into 2 parts. Zichen's group was at an absolute disadvantage in terms of numbers. No one was optimistic about them. No matter how extraordinary they would be killed by everyone. Donda looked at Wei Li. Wei Li shook his head. Zichen didn't need help. Donda was just a spectator. The battle hadn't started yet. An abnormality appeared in the sky. Thunderbolts began to surge with great momentum. The rumbling sound came from the sky. It was getting closer and closer to the ground as if thunderbolts were falling from the sky. The people below looked up at the sky subconsciously. Then, they were shocked because there were thunderbolts falling from the sky. It was boundless. It was as if someone had poked a hole in the sky and caused a sea of thunderbolts to pour down. In the blink of an eye, with Zichen as the center and the rank 9 as the boundary, this place was completely covered by thunderbolts. The thunderbolts roared and emitted a terrifying aura. The people in the distance retreated in fear. The 8 rank 9 didn't retreat. They were drowned by countless thunderbolts. The thunderbolts in the sky were terrible. They were a threat to the rank 9. Zichen couldn't store them in the world reserve for future battles, but he could use the power of the world to draw the thunderbolts from the sky. The thunderbolts falling from the sky were so powerful that Zichen's body felt pain. They were mixed with many thunderstones. Amidst the roar, the 8 grade 9 experts' faces were filled with horror. They put up a defense against the thunderbolts and wanted to rush out. However, this place had become a space of its own. They rushed forward and met a space barrier. They tried their best but couldn't break it. They couldn't go forward or backward. They couldn't go underground. They had to go up to the sky. However, there were endless thunderbolts falling from the sky. They would die if they went up. Tuo Ming, who was in the distance, looked at the scene in front of him, and his expression changed drastically. The group of experts beside him also looked extremely terrified. If they were in the middle of such terrifying lightning, they would definitely die. Those divine generals who had surrounded Tyrant and his group in the distance had already fled in fear. They didn't dare to come any closer. Such a terrifying method could attack indiscriminately. Numbers were of no use. At this moment, they clearly understood what Zichen meant when he said that they were in the home ground. Thunderbolts raged all around. Zichen walked forward. The thunderbolts here made his physical body feel slightly uncomfortable. In front of him, a rank 9 was putting up a defense, resisting the thunderbolts all around. There was fear on his face. His defense was formed by custom-made battle armor. Its defense was very strong, but the power of lightning around him was too terrifying. It was obvious that his defense would not be able to last for long. A cold light flashed in Zichen's eyes as he flew forward. This rank 9 who was resisting the thunderbolts felt that the power of lightning around him had become unusually violent. Just as he sensed that something was wrong, he saw a person suddenly appear in front of him. It was Zichen. Immediately after, Zichen's fist landed on his body. Thunder roared and his body flew backward. During this time, the defense on the surface of his body was constantly distorted. As he flew backward, he was attacked by the surrounding thunderbolts and finally exploded. The custom-made battle armor's defense was broken. Thunderbolts spread all over his body. Endless power of lightning poured into his body. This rank 9 let out a shrill scream and his aura dissipated. A rank 9 was killed. Zichen turned and walked toward the second rank 9. In these years, he had killed many rank 9 heavenly thunder beasts. Relatively speaking, it was easy to kill a rank 9. However, he didn't want to waste too much time. Moreover, it was very strenuous for him to fight against 8 of them. When he unfolded his world, even if it was in a half-open state, these rank 9 could forget about breaking it. When he arrived in front of the second person, Zichen punched again. The fist flashing with lightning fell on the other person's defense. Accompanied by the roar of thunder, this rank 9 was sent flying. Earlier, it was already very strenuous for him to block the thunderbolts. Now that he was hit by Zichen's punch, his defense was completely shattered. Zichen didn't need to kill anyone. He only needed to break the defense. Hearing the shrill scream in their ears, the other 6 rank 9's faces were filled with horror. They began to shout loudly, wanting to come together and unite. Their spiritual thoughts were affected here, so they couldn't transmit their voices. When Zichen heard these shouts, he smiled coldly. With a shift of his mind, the space of these worlds was separated. He appeared in front of the third person and punched out. The power of this punch wasn't strong, but it was like the last straw that broke the camel's back. It destroyed their defense that could barely block the thunderbolts. Boom! The fourth rank 9's defense was broken. He let out a shrill cry. Zichen, fight me face to face if you have the guts. A 9th grade divine general with a sword in hand looked around in fear, shouting loudly. Fight face to face? Why didn't you say this decades ago when I wasn't injured? A cold voice sounded in front of him. Zichen walked out of the thunderbolts. Go to hell! The rank 9's eyes flashed with killing intent. He stabbed forward with his sword. Puff! The sword light flashed past. Zichen's body was directly pierced through. Seeing this, the rank 9's expression changed greatly. He turned around. Before he could stab with his sword a second time, a fist shining with thunderbolts had already landed on his body. With another boom, the 5th rank 9's defense was broken and he was killed by the thunderbolts here. Zichen was like the god of death. Wherever he went, he brought death. Outside the domain shining with thunderbolts, no one could be seen around. Everyone had retreated far away. At this moment, except for Monk and the others who still looked normal, the others were all frightened. With such terrible thunderbolts raging around, they didn't know how those rank 9's were doing. Donda looked at the thunderbolts in front of him, feeling very shocked. With a smile on his face, Whaley turned to look at Tomine. Tomine's face was very gloomy. Buzz! A tremor came from the front. It was the domain of thunderbolts being withdrawn. When the thunderbolts disappeared, pieces of thunderstones of different sizes floated in the air. At the same time, there were 9 corpses floating in the air. An uproar came from afar. Everyone's face was filled with horror. They didn't expect 8 rank 9s to die like this. Zichen's gaze swept across the surroundings. Those people from before all retreated in fear. With a cold snort, Zichen waved his hands and collected all the thunderstones and corpses. Then, under everyone's gaze, he walked toward Tomine. His eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. Chapter 2981. Zichen had previously announced that he would kill 9 people. The 9th person he was referring to was Tuoming. Seeing Zichen walking towards him, Tuoming's expression turned ugly. The rest of the people beside Tuoming were terrified as they retreated into the distance. Whaley looked at this scene with a faint smile on his face. Donda said in surprise, "He wants to kill Tuoming? Why?" Whaley did not explain because Tuoming had already spoken. "You want to attack me?" Zichen said. "I don't want to attack you. I want to kill you." "You?" Tuoming raised his eyebrows and said in an extremely cold voice. Tuoming was very powerful. Everyone knew that before coming here. However, if he said such words now, it would undoubtedly make others feel that he was arrogant. Zichen had killed 8 rank 9 martial artists in a row here. How could he not be killed? Everyone was puzzled. Although Divine General Tuoming had always been hostile to Zichen, he had always been the young lord's protector. He had even saved them during a crisis. Why did he want to kill Tuoming now? In fact, both of them belonged to the same camp. Zichen sneered. "What you really want to say is why I want to kill you, right? It's very simple. Last time, there were 9 rank 9 martial artists. Now 8 of them are dead. There's 1 more left." Tuoming's expression changed. The others were enlightened. "The Yu family's influence is really huge. I didn't expect that even the most trusted Tuoming in the alliance would become one of them." Donda lamented. Whaley was indifferent. Obviously, he had known about this long ago. He was even the one who told Zichen about this. "Humph, that's right. I'm one of them." Tuoming snorted. "I just want to kill you. I want to kill all of you. Because you don't have the right to protect the young lord." Zichen sneered again. "No matter what your true intentions are, it doesn't matter. Because you have to die." As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed towards Tuoming. Lightning surged out from his body, and a powerful aura was released. "You're courting death." Seeing Zichen rush over without using the sea of lightning in the sky, a cold glint flashed in Tuoming's eyes. As the former second on the roll of generals, his combat prowess was naturally incomparably powerful. Why would he care about a mere 8th-grade martial artist? Besides, he was not the first on the roll of generals. Tuoming's armor was black and all the patterns on it lit up. He did not use a weapon for the time being. He clenched his fist and struck out. This punch was full of power. It was accompanied by a rumbling sound that instantly covered the thunder in the sky. The others widened their eyes and stared ahead. Zichen did not use the lightning here. In the eyes of the others, Zichen probably wanted to test his own combat strength. After all, the reason why he was able to kill the 8 rank 9 martial artists was because of the terrifying thunderbolt. Their fists collided, and an explosion sounded out as a powerful force surged out. Amidst the shockwaves, the 2 of them retreated. In the meantime, Zichen's figure flashed. After neutralizing the powerful impact, he once again stepped forward. Thunder rumbled around his body as the power of his thunder body was pushed to the limit. He punched and punched. Bright light appeared on his fists. "Go to hell!" Tuoming bellowed furiously. The aura on his body surged violently as he punched again. The power of this punch was even more terrifying than before. Another rumble sounded. Waves mixed with lightning and divine light scattered in all directions, forming a powerful shock wave that forced the surrounding people to retreat again. At this moment, in the distance, many people were looking at the scene with astonishment on their faces. Obviously, even without the power of the Sea of Lightning, the 8th grade Zichen had the ability to fight against the 9th grade martial artist. In the two fights, he and Tuomin were evenly matched. In addition, Zichen had not worn the custom-made armor. If he used it, his combat prowess would be greatly enhanced. His combat prowess is indeed terrifying, Thunderous said in astonishment as he looked at the two fighting in front of him. The two of them were fighting at a faster and faster speed. Every strike was at full strength. The armor on Tuomin's body emitted a strong light. It was obvious that he had pushed it to the limit. However, in the fight with Zichen, he did not gain the upper hand. Get lost! An angry roar suddenly came out from Tuomin's mouth. Divine light circled around his body and a divine bird materialized from energy flew out. The divine bird spread its wings and flew towards Zichen. The divine bird exploded in front of Zichen, turning into terrifying divine waves that spread out in all directions. Zichen bore the brunt of the impact and was sent flying by the energy. After the energy forced Zichen back, Tuomin's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he started to form seals with both hands. The speed at which he formed the seals was so fast that it was dazzling. This is his strongest move. In the distance, Wei-Li looked at Tuomin who was forming the seals and said, It seems that he feels threatened and wants to fight Zichen to the death. In the past, Wei-Li was number 1, and Tuomin was number 2. Wei-Li naturally knew Tuomin very well. In the distance, Zichen looked at Tuomin forming the seals and his expression turned cold. A light flashed in his hand and a sheathed saber appeared. Go to hell, Divine Phoenix transforms to Yang! As Tuomin formed the seals, his eyes were filled with murderous intent. In the sky above his head, a huge true phoenix appeared. The true phoenix was surging with a terrifying aura. Boundless divine light shrouded the surroundings, bringing along an indescribable pressure. In the next moment, the true phoenix descended from the sky. Its body rotated and turned into a sun that was releasing divine light. Obviously, this was Tuomin's strongest move. In the situation where he could not suppress the enemy with his physical strength, he could only use this move. Feeling the terrifying aura coming toward him, Zichen's body flashed with lightning. The power flowed through his right arm and into the long saber. The veins on the back of his hand bulged as he unsheathed his saber. Whoosh! A bright saber light swept toward the divine sun that was formed by the true phoenix. Outside the saber light, there was a black crack that enveloped the long saber. The saber seemed to be moving forward in space. Wherever it passed, space would be split. When the saber light and the true phoenix met, there was no terrifying confrontation that everyone had imagined. The saber light swept past the true phoenix in an instant and landed on Tuomin without slowing down. The true phoenix split into two and turned into surging energy that dissipated in the air. When the saber landed on Tuomin's body, the defense of his armor was immediately shattered. At the same time, the saber light pierced through the armor. Following the explosion of energy, Tuomin was sent flying. The surroundings were in an uproar. Clearly, no one had expected that Tuomin, who had used his strongest move, would still not be a match for Zichen. Tuomin did not die. He looked at Zichen in the distance with a horrified expression. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Zichen looked at Tuomin coldly. Without saying a word, he unsheathed his long saber again. It was the same move as before. There were black marks on the surface of the saber. When the saber swept past, Tuomin merely put up a defensive posture. However, the saber swept past his body. He was dead. Chapter 2982. Looking at the dead Tuomin, everyone was shocked. A rank 8 without any armor could actually kill a rank 9 who was wearing a custom-made armor. It was quiet all around. Everyone was in shock. Unlike Zichen, who killed other rank 9 experts with the help of the thunderbolts here, he killed them with his own strength. Rank 8 already has such strong combat strength. Once he reaches rank 9, he will definitely be able to defeat everyone here. Wei Li's eyes shone with hope. Zichen walked toward the dead Tuaming. Behind him was the passageway. At this moment, there was no one beside the passageway. The people who were guarding the passageway had already run away. The shocked crowd gradually came back to their senses. Then, they looked at Kong Mo with complicated expressions. Now, he had truly become the young lord. In Sky Road City, everyone had to treat him with respect. After keeping Tuoming's body, Zichen turned around. The monk and the others walked forward. No one dared to stop them. Zichen had the absolute advantage here. If he wanted to, he could kill everyone. Everyone came to the passageway. "Let's go," Zichen said. Before entering the passageway, he looked back at Wei Li. The latter nodded at him. Seeing the group walking out of the passageway, everyone spoke. Their expressions were naturally extremely shocked. "Let's go too," Wei Li said. "Where to next?" Donder asked. "Directly to Sky Road City." Wei Li turned to look at the other god generals who followed him and said, "If you don't want to enter the city for now, go to the Legion and wait." A few of them nodded. There were some rank 8 and rank 7 experts among them. After seeing how rank 9 experts were easily killed, they naturally did not dare to go to Sky Road City. The others dispersed. At this moment, they could see that Sky Road City was going to change. After walking out of the Thunder Dominion with Thunderstones, they were still in the Thunder Dominion. Zichen looked back at Kong Mo and said, "Kong Mo, we will follow you to Sky Road City." Kong Mo shook his head and said, "Big brother, I don't want to go to Sky Road City." Although Kong Mo was young, he was not stupid. He knew very well how those people treated him. Furthermore, the people who had come this time were clearly here to kill him. Not a single one was helping him. If he went to Heaven Road City, it would be even more dangerous. Zichen rubbed Kong Mo's head and said, "You must go to Sky Road City. Your father is there, and he needs your help." "Father?" Kong Mo was startled. The others looked at Zichen in confusion. "When we get out, someone will explain it to us. Let's go." Outside the Thunder Dominion, Yue waited patiently. He waited for dozens of years. In the past few decades, no one from his family had come. Not only was he not disheartened, he was even more confident. Obviously, this indicated the confidence of the family. The old men were also waiting. During this time, many more people were sent in. This time, the opening of the Thunder Dominion took longer than usual. Their mood became worse and worse. After a long wait, the Thunder Dominion space finally closed. Energy surged within the Thunder Dominion, and someone walked out. Yue sneered, but when he saw the person who appeared, he couldn't laugh. The first one to walk out was Kong Mo, followed by Zichen and the others. "How is this possible?" Yue couldn't believe his eyes. He sent so many people, but not only did they not kill Kong Mo, the other party's team didn't lose a single person. Compared to Yue's expression, the old men of the Alliance were in a much better mood. They all walked forward with undisguised excitement on their faces. Kong Mo's eyes were red, as if he had just cried. The others didn't care and immediately went forward to ask if he was frightened inside. At this moment, Zichen felt a chill. This chill came from Yue, who was not far away. "Where's Tuoming? Why didn't he come out with you?" the old man named Kes asked. "He's dead," Zichen replied indifferently. "Dead? Was he killed while protecting the young master?" Kes said impolitely. "If he's dead, why aren't you dead?" Zichen said coldly. "He was killed by me when he tried to kill your young master Kang Xian." "What?" Kes's expression changed, and he shouted. "That's nonsense," Zichen said quietly. "Whether it's nonsense or not, you'll know soon enough. Since the young master has come out safely, then follow us to Sky Road City." Another old man from the Alliance, Kappa, said, "Young master has suffered all these years. Everything will be better when you return to Sky Road City." Kong Mo looked up at Kappa and said, If you want me to go to Sky Road City, you have to agree to one condition. Not to mention one, even 10 won't be a problem, Kappa said with a smile. That's good. Kongmo nodded, then pointed at Kes and said, He has to die. What did you say? Kes stared at Kongmo. Kongmo said coldly, You have to die. Otherwise, I won't enter the city. If you don't enter the city, you'll die. We're trying to help you. How dare you be so heartless and ungrateful? Cax was clearly enraged. Kes, watch your tone, Kappa said with a frown. Tone? He wants to kill me. What kind of tone do you need? Kes said unhappily. This Brad is ungrateful. It's better to just kill him, so as to avoid. Before Kes could finish his words, Zichin moved. He charged at Kes. Despicable thing, you're courting death. Kes' body flashed, and his domain was raised again. Zichin clenched his fist, and his lightning body surged as he punched Kes's domain. Boom! A huge tremor. The domain trembled, and Kes' body flew backward. Zichen's figure flashed, and he punched again. This punch still didn't break through Kes's defense, but it sent him flying high. Beside Kappa, a few people's expressions changed, and they prepared to attack. Kappa slowly shook his head. In the distance, Yue looked at this alliance that had yet to be formed, and sneered again. You despicable thing, don't you know that we naturally suppress you? In the sky, Kes shouted angrily. A long saber appeared in Zichen's hand. Lightning surged, and he unsheathed the saber. A saber gleam with black veins charged straight at Kes. This was a space-splitting slash. Currently, without using his domain, it was Zichen's most powerful slash. The saber gleam landed on Kes's domain. The attack that could cut through space rubbed against the domain violently. The domain began to tremble violently, showing signs of collapse. Seeing this, Kes' expression changed drastically. Swoosh! Zichin unsheathed his second saber, and it was also a space-splitting slash. The energy of the first slash dissipated, and the second slash followed, landing on the previous position. Then the third slash, and the fourth slash. At this moment, those who came out with him were all looking ahead, their expressions full of shock. Could it be that after Zichin killed many rank 9s inside, he was now coming out to attack the natives? Could he ignore this restraint? Chapter 2983. Lux's territory was unique to the natives. Not all of the natives had it. Before that, the natives needed to awaken their talents. If they couldn't, the natives would end up in a miserable state. Once awakened, the weapon refinement territory would be formed. Not only would it be able to refine high-quality armors, but it would also have an obvious restraining effect on the divine generals who came to this world. It was impossible to break through. This made the natives think that they were born to be superior. At this moment, Zichin broke through the territory with a few slashes. The shock he brought to the others was far greater than that of the rank 9 experts he killed in the thunder space. Until now, they had never heard of anyone who could break through the natives' territory. This territory had always been called the Absolute Territory. At this moment, everyone was extremely shocked when they saw Zichin break through the territory so easily. Actually, breaking through the territory wasn't as simple as everyone thought. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many genius divine generals who came here and were suppressed. Zichin used the space-splitting slash several times. He had used this move twice before killing Tuoming. At the same time, the space-splitting slash originated from the space-splitting slash and the sword-drawing technique. The former was a space-splitting technique left behind by an ancient big shot. It was definitely not something an ordinary person could master. The latter was an attack that came with the 9 Extremes weapon. It was very powerful. When Zichin used it, the black lines were formed by his own world. It could be said that this attack was exclusive to Zichin. Even if he wanted to pass it on to others, no one could learn it. All kinds of opportunities and coincidences created such a powerful Zichin. Taking in everyone's expressions, Zichen's eyes moved slightly. His aura was obviously weakened. It seemed that he had used up a lot of energy. Kappa frowned. There was obvious shock in his eyes. Beside him, the other natives widened their eyes. They felt that it was very unbelievable. What was the background of this person who followed young Master Kang Xian? How could he break through the territory? The extremely weak Zichen raised his head and looked at the previously arrogant Lux. Now that he had lost the protection of the territory, he was terrified. His body lit up again. "Stop! Let's talk nicely! Let's talk nicely!" he said loudly. He was very frightened. Zichen took a step forward. The light on his body shone even brighter. A powerful aura surged. "Kappa, make him stop! Save me, save me!" Seeing the cold killing intent in Zichen's eyes, Cleese turned to Kappa for help. Kappa was still frowning and indifferent. "One!" The long saber in Zichen's hand trembled as it was unsheathed again. It was still a slash that split the air. This slash seemed to have become less powerful because of his consumption. Its speed and power had weakened, but it was still not something that a native like Cax, who had no defense, could block. Many people were silently counting the number of times Zichen could attack, thinking that this was his limit. Puff! The blade light swept past the body, and blood splattered. Cax's body was separated in midair. The surroundings were deathly silent. All the divine generals were extremely shocked. This was the first time they saw a native being killed by a divine general since they came to this world. That kind of natural domain suppression didn't seem to exist on Zichen. In the distance, Yue's expression changed greatly. Zichen, whom he didn't take seriously before, seemed to have become a wild beast at this moment, making him feel extremely threatened. The only thing that made him feel fortunate was that after a few attacks, the other party had become extremely weak, and his combat strength had obviously decreased. This could be considered the other party's weakness, and he needed to take advantage of it. But what made him not optimistic was that the other party was only at level 8. Once he reached level 9, wouldn't his combat strength be even stronger? At that time, wouldn't he be able to slaughter the majority of the natives? At this moment, not only were the divine generals shocked by Zichen's strength, but even the natives had to take him seriously. Cax was killed. Kang Mo's request was considered to have been fulfilled. Kang Mo looked back at Kappa and said, "Let's go. I want to know something about my father." Kappa glanced at Zichen hesitantly, but no matter what, he couldn't bring himself to say that he wanted to enter the city with him alone. Speaking of Zichen's strong combat strength, even he was extremely shocked. There was no doubt that he was a very terrifying existence. If they couldn't make use of him and turn him into an enemy, it would be a complete disaster for them. Moreover, after seeing Zichen's methods, he had another idea in his heart, or rather, an ambition. Zichen's group naturally followed Kang Mo. The reason why Kang Mo didn't make two requests, saying that he wanted to bring Zichen's group into the city with him, was that he didn't want to be separated from them at all. Moreover, Zichen couldn't possibly let Kang Mo enter Heaven Road City alone and be used by them. Previously, when he attacked, he took the initiative to show his strength and enter the situation. "When you go back, tell your clansmen to come and pay a visit to the young master. The young master will temporarily live in my residence. When you vacate the city lord's residence, the young master will move in." Before leaving, Kappa said to Yue. At this time, those who were still alive all came out. Naturally, someone told Yue what happened in the Thunder Territory space. After learning that those level 9 experts were all killed by Zichen alone, his expression changed greatly again. Considering his own realm, Yue didn't say anything else, and left first with his people. When he left, he snorted coldly at Kang Mo. Naturally, he wouldn't be polite to him. "Your father is locked up in the dungeon under the Alliance Chief's residence. This was the result of our efforts. The Yu clan is powerful, and too arrogant." Kappa told him about Kang Mo's father, and also about the grudges with the Yu clan. "At that time, the Yu clan insisted on rebelling. We were weak and couldn't stop them at all. At that time, the Yu clan recruited many powerhouses. In the war, your father was seriously injured, and some of the other clansmen died in battle, and some were imprisoned. Fortunately, our words had some weight, which saved the lives of your father and the other clansmen. At the same time, we've been trying our best to prevent them from looking for you in the outside world. Listening to Ka-Pa talk about the past, Kang-mo shed tears sadly. The other party pushed all the blame to the Yu clan. Zichen didn't say anything, and didn't raise any opinions. Obviously, at this time, it was not suitable for them to intervene. This place was not too far away from Heaven Road City. The group flew towards the city. When they reached the city gate, they found many people standing there. They were all aboriginals, and seemed to be waiting for something. After seeing Zichen's group, their faces immediately showed excitement. "Greetings, young lord!" Kang-mo approached the city gate. Everyone began to salute with respectful expressions. In the distance, many god generals stopped and looked over curiously. "Where's Yushiyu? Why didn't he come out?" Ka-Pa looked ahead and said lightly. "This kind of thing doesn't require the Alliance chief to come out personally, right?" A person in front said. "This time, we received the Alliance chief's order to personally welcome the young lord," Ka-Pa said firmly. "This time, the young lord has returned. Next, our elder group will discuss the Alliance chief's matter again. Go back and tell Yushiyu to vacate the Alliance chief's residence." Chapter 2984. Zichen and Kang-mo did not say anything about what happened at the city gate. Kappa had arranged everything. They were now living in Kappa's mansion, surrounded by many powerhouses for protection. If these people were in the divine realm, which one of them would not be a powerhouse who could call the wind and summon the rain? It was a pity that they were willing to become guards here. During this time, someone from the Alliance Master's mansion came to inform them that the young master could live there, but Kappa sternly refused. He scolded the person and said that the young master would only go there when the Alliance Master's mansion was truly empty. Clearly, Kappa was worried that Kang-mo would encounter an accident on the first day of living in the Alliance Master's mansion. Sky Road City was the only city in the depths. It was large enough and was also the final destination of this region. All the powerhouses who came here would eventually gather here and wait for the gate to Sky Road to open. In this city, 7th-rank powerhouses could be seen everywhere, and they were the lowest-level existences who did menial work. There were many 8th-rank and 9th-rank powerhouses. The next day, when he went out, he heard the names of some familiar powerhouses. After asking, he found out that there were actually many ranked divine generals here. Any random 9th-rank powerhouse who came here this time, back in the divine realm, were almost all people on the roll of generals. Clearly, in these years, countless powerhouses on the roll of generals had gathered here, and because of the layout of this region, they could not enter the Sky Road. In the past few days, the entire city had been talking about Kang-mo. It was clear that Heaven Road City would not be peaceful for a long time. These days, Zichen's group was led around the city in the name of admiring the scenery of Sky Road City. On this day, many elderly people came to Kappa's mansion. Clearly, after a few days of observation, they had finally made a move. In a spacious conference hall, the old man Kappa sat upright. After waiting outside for decades, he finally saw the young master come out safely. His attitude immediately changed greatly, becoming very unyielding. These days he did not go out and stayed at home. Last time, he had scolded the people who came to the Alliance Master's mansion. On both sides of the long jade table sat some old people. They were all elders of the Alliance, and each of them represented a faction. "Kappa, what's going on with my big brother Kes?" After everyone was seated, an old man who looked somewhat similar to Kes spoke. "He was disrespectful to the young master, so he died." Kappa didn't even lift his eyelids as he lightly said, "I want to know how my brother died." The other party said coldly, "We won't let him die for no reason. Chris, if you are here to talk about this matter, then you can go outside and wait for us to finish discussing other things. Then we will talk about Kel's disrespect to the young master," Kappa said again. The old man named Carrie snorted coldly. Of course, he wouldn't leave. So many people had seen what happened last time. If he wanted to know, he would naturally be able to find out. Moreover, it had already been a few days. He obviously didn't come here to investigate this matter. At this moment, he brought it up again just to fight for more benefits. Kappa, what do you mean by this? An old man sitting at the side asked. Kappa said with a straight face. Alliance Master has been wronged and is still in prison. All these years I have not been able to eat or sleep well. Now that the young master has returned, I feel that we should reinvestigate what happened that year because the young master has the right to know the truth. The others were silent. Everyone knew their purpose of finding the young master. At this moment, Kappa's straight face made people laugh. How do we investigate? Someone asked. Of course we will investigate slowly. But before that, I feel that there is a need to discuss and remove Yushiyu's position as the temporary alliance master. That year, they had kept an eye on him. Yushiyu was only a temporary alliance master, and not a complete replacement. Even though this temporary replacement had been around for a long time, and was even more arrogant than the previous alliance master. Elders, there are a total of 36 people, and we only have 14 here. It is obvious that we do not have the advantage, another elder said. Why don't we go and negotiate with the Yu family? All these years, they have been controlling Heaven's Road and have gained too much benefits. It is time for them to give up some benefits. Some people nodded in agreement. To them, this was the best way to maximize the benefits. There was no need to fight, as long as the benefits were in their hands. Kappa looked at the few people who nodded and said coldly, You guys are really greedy people who have not seen the world. If negotiations were useful, would we have been passive for so many years? Kappa looked around and said, If the Yu family agrees, what should we do? Ignore the life and death of the Alliance Master? Kill the young master? Let's not talk about whether this is in line with the spirit of humanity. What if the Yu family goes back on their word? What should we do to them? Condemn them for not keeping their word? At that time, they will be gone. What's the use of condemning them? The others fell silent. Obviously, this was what they were most worried about, but it seemed that they had no other way. Obviously, they could not win in a bloody battle. Moreover, the losses were too great. No one was willing. Just as the elders were discussing the progress of the matter, Zichen entered a tavern and saw Wei Li by the window on the left. He walked over to Wei Li and sat opposite him. Wei Li picked up the wine jug and filled Zichen's cup. He said, What do you think? Zichen took the wine cup and said, I haven't made a move yet. Those people are still suspicious of each other. Wei Li said, Actually, I came here this time to remind you not to be anxious. Your combat strength is very strong. Now you have the ability to kill a rank 9, but you are still a rank 8. I suggest you break through to rank 9 first. Zichen smiled bitterly and said, I just broke through to rank 8. How can I break through so quickly? Wei Li smiled mysteriously and said, You do. Zichen's eyes lit up. He said, What do you mean? Wei Li said, Although the Yu family has been suppressing the alliance all these years, they have some good things in their hands. As long as one family takes out some, it shouldn't be difficult to help you break through to rank 9. It won't take too long. Obviously, this was Wei Li reminding Zichen to fight for his own interests before he entered the game. Remember to inform me when you are going to make a move. The Yu family is very powerful. These years they have recruited many powerhouses. I believe you have already experienced it in the lightning space, Wei Li said. Zichen nodded. His expression became serious. Dealing with a huge aristocratic family was no small matter. After the last time when the world was suppressed, he had become much more cautious. Not to mention how much his combat strength would decrease when the world was suppressed. At the very least, he would lose the ability to protect his companions. After parting with Wei Li, Zichen met up with everyone and walked toward Kappa's mansion. Several days passed, but Kappa did not come to find Kangmo. These days, people would come to Kappa's mansion every day. Similarly, they did not come to meet the young master they recognized. After a month, Kappa brought some strangers to meet the young master. Obviously, at this moment, not only did they recognize Kang Mo's identity as the young master, they had also reached some kind of agreement. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.